A young man stepped forward with determination, the sole of his sneaker striking the pavement with purpose. Without hesitation, he broke into a sprint, weaving through the city sidewalk as if pulled by an invisible force toward his destination. This was Jan Gong, a name his parents gave him, meaning protagonist, a destiny they hoped he would live up to. He burst into a small shop where his friends greeted him with cheerful voices, announcing his arrival. With a grin, he explained how people often mocked his name, but he never cared because deep down he truly wanted to become a hero. Jan asked eagerly if the new game had arrived. His friend nodded, proudly revealing that he had reserved a copy just for him. It was the remake of a legendary classic, Night Saga, reborn as Night Saga Re. The story was iconic, the endless conflict between the human and demon races. Players could choose to step into the shining armor of the human hero rogue, or descend into the fiery realm of the demons, siding with powerful allies. Another option was to embody Zephyr Ragnaros, the second son of the Demon King. Jan wasn't a newcomer. He had cleared the original game more than 10 times, memorizing every character, item, and hidden event. But this release was different. For the first time, Night Saga had been adapted into full virtual reality. Back at home, he wasted no time. He went straight to his sleek VR gaming chair, cradling the small cartridge in his hands like a precious relic. Carefully, he slotted it into the machine before lowering the smooth helmet over his head. With arms folded confidently, he settled into the seat, ready to dive into the world. A short session for him meant at least 8 hours. As the system booted up, radiant streams of light engulfed his body. His surroundings dissolved, and suddenly he stood in a sunlit room. Confused, he muttered to himself, this wasn't the usual starting area. His eyes caught something odd in the reflection nearby, pointed ears. He touched his face, staring at his new form, a pale boy with white hair and crimson eyes. Before he could process it, a gruff voice shouted from beyond the curtain, dripping with sarcasm, "Still asleep, slacker?" The curtain was pulled aside by an orc warrior, who barked at him to hurry, reminding him they had a morning schedule. Jan blinked in awe. The realism was breathtaking. Textures, expressions, even the weight of the orc's voice. Jokingly, he remarked on the graphics, but the warrior only frowned at his odd words. It dawned on him he could actually talk to these characters. That had never been announced as a feature. Hesitantly, he asked the orc's name. The warrior looked hurt, then replied, "Did you forget me? I'm Carrick. Now move it. Everyone's waiting for Prince Shutra." Jan froze. Prince Shutra. His mind raced. Could it be Shutra Ignis, the 9th son of the Demon King? But he hadn't even chosen a character. Quickly, he raised his hand, instinctively trying the game's menu command. A shimmering holographic screen blinked into existence, just as he expected. His jaw tightened as he read the details. Name, Shutra Ignis. Stats. Each one 5 points lower than an ordinary NPC. Disbelief set in. He scrolled further. 2 skills appeared, Conquest and something called Protagonist Bonus. His heart skipped a beat. Could it really be that Protagonist Bonus? Before he could linger, Carrick poked his head in again, yelling for him to move faster. Shaking off his thoughts, Jan, now Shutra, followed him out. Sunlight flooded his eyes as he stepped outside, only to be met with a shocking sight. An entire orc army, lined up in formation, prepared for battle. A battlefield, he whispered. Carrick didn't slow down. Don't just stand there. We're dealing with the Red Lightning tribe today. Shutra's stomach dropped. Red Lightning? Where's the tutorial? Carrick roared with excitement about his first deployment, but Shutra panicked. This wasn't a drill, this was war. The rebellion of the Red Lightning orcs had already begun, and his mission, alongside the 7th prince and 8th princess, was to crush it. He looked around in disbelief. Only 10 soldiers? For his first battle? When he voiced his fear, Carrick frowned, asking if he'd eaten something strange. His strange behavior was unsettling, but Shutra could only stare at the horizon, realizing with dread, this was no game anymore. Ignoring Carrick's puzzled look, the young prince raised his hand once more. A shimmering game interface appeared, projecting a holographic minimap into the air before him. He decided to keep it open, a tool to guide his steps. Immediately, something unusual caught his eye. An unmarked, hidden path faintly glowing on the map. His heart skipped a beat. A secret event? Meanwhile, Carrick unfolded a weathered physical map, muttering that their current route would take far too long. With quiet confidence, Shutra declared that he knew a faster shortcut. The orcs exchanged uncertain glances but obeyed their prince, following him into the dense, unfamiliar woods. The shortcut soon revealed itself to be anything but easy. Before them loomed a sheer cliff face, steep and jagged. One by one they climbed, clinging to the rocks. Sweat ran down Shutra's brow as his arms trembled. His breath came ragged, and he cursed under his breath the curse of his pitiful stamina stat. Still, he pressed on, forcing his body upward. At last, they reached the top, greeted not by open land, but by a towering ancient stone door carved into the mountainside. Twin rings of iron hung from it, rusted yet unbroken, proof it had been sealed for centuries. Carrick's eyes went wide with amazement. "Prince, how did you know of this place? Are you secretly a mage?" he asked in awe. Shutra waved the suggestion away, too drained to answer properly. Carrick studied him with concern. "Are you all right? I'd be fine if my stamina wasn't stuck at one," Shutra muttered bitterly. Forcing himself forward, he stepped onto a faintly glowing sigil etched in the stone floor before the door. The moment his boot touched the mark, a surge of golden fire erupted around him. Flames swirled upward, licking the air with divine brilliance. Shutra staggered back in shock, stunned by the sudden torrent of energy. Before his eyes, a notification appeared. "Level up." He froze, disbelief washing over him. "I leveled up just by walking?" Quickly, he summoned his status screen. His jaw tightened as he read the changes. All his stats had increased by 2 points, and 2 fresh skill points awaited. His lips curled into a faint smile. The truth was undeniable now. His protagonist bonus turned even accidents into opportunities. Carrick's shout dragged him back. "Prince, hurry. We must move." Nodding, Shutra steadied himself. For the first time, he felt true confidence. He wasn't alone. Carrick and his warriors stood with him. And with this strange power, he realized even disasters could be bent to his favor. Together, they advanced into the yawning darkness of the cave. Jagged icy walls shimmered faintly, hinting at old secrets buried deep inside. Carrick ran his hand across the stone, remarking that dwarves must have dug this passage long ago, back when they still lived within the demon realm. Suddenly, Carrick stopped short, his eyes widening. The orc soldiers surged forward, shouting in excitement. Before them lay a treasure hoard, abandoned dwarven weapons, glimmering faintly in the gloom. While the soldiers cheered, Shutra remained composed. His eyes lingered on a great sword radiating power. Reaching out, he tried to lift it, only for system alerts to flash before him. Requirement not met. Level too low. Requirement not met. Strength too low. He sighed but did not despair. Instead, he pointed to the weapon and focused. At his thought, the blade vanished with a shimmer, safely stored in his inventory. A grin flickered across his lips. The system worked just as he expected. But his satisfaction was short-lived. His minimap pulsed red. Enemy signals. Dozens of them closing in fast. "Retreat! Now!" Shutra shouted. Before the orcs could react, a crimson crystal materialized between 2 soldiers. It cracked, glowing ominously, then exploded in a violent surge of pink energy. The blast sent bodies crashing against the cave walls. Smoke and dust filled the air as a towering figure stepped forward. His crimson skin glistened with menace, his aura radiating fury. He was Ken, commander of the Red Lightning tribe. His voice echoed mockingly. "Fools! You walked straight into my trap." With a sharp gesture, he commanded his warriors. The Red Lightning orcs surged from the shadows, weapons raised high. Steel clashed against steel. The cave thundered with the roar of battle. Carrick charged to the front lines, bellowing orders, his blade cutting down foes to protect his men. And there, in the middle of the chaos, stood Shutra, a sword clenched tightly in his trembling hands, his heart racing as the clash of 2 tribes swallowed him whole. Amidst the chaos, a soldier collapsed at his side, blood splattering across the stone. Shutra's heart lurched. "I can't just stand here. I have to do something." Desperation drove his thoughts. If he could just land one finishing blow, maybe he could earn some easy experience. His eyes locked onto a red-skinned warrior, distracted in combat with one of his allies. This is my chance. Gritting his teeth, the young prince rushed forward. With every ounce of strength he possessed, he swung his cheap, brittle sword, aiming to strike true. The blade met the enemy's hide, only to shatter instantly, fragments scattering uselessly across the ground. Shutra froze in horror. The orc warrior turned slowly, its burning crimson eyes fixing directly on him. A guttural roar thundered from its throat, shaking the walls as it lunged. Panic overtook him. Ah! Shutra screamed, stumbling back. The enemy stomped down, cracking the stone floor as it launched forward like a beast. One punch, just one, smashed into the prince's chest. The world spun as he was hurled backward, crashing onto the cold rock. A piercing notification flashed before his eyes. Critical condition, 1 HP remaining. His breath hitched. Terror consumed him as the orc's shadow loomed overhead, ready to crush him into the earth. Shutra squeezed his eyes shut, his scream echoing through the cavern. The killing blow never came. Instead, Carrick leapt between them, his massive frame absorbing the strike. Blood sprayed from the warrior's mouth, but he did not falter. He turned to his prince, eyes blazing with loyalty. "Run, your highness, while you still can." Shutra sat paralyzed, staring at his trembling hands. This is only a game, right? He told himself, clinging to the thought. Yet his chest still ached from the punch. His body still trembled. Felt too real. Too real. "I've had enough of this," he muttered, trying to force open the menu. "This game is way too realistic." The interface flickered. His skill list was empty. The buffs he'd seen earlier gone. His face drained of color as sweat trickled down his temple. He frantically scrolled through the options, searching for the one thing that could save him. There was no logout button. His breath quickened. No, 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 no. The grim battle raged around him, his allies falling one after another. He sat on the cold ground, whispering, "Am I actually trapped here?" His despair was broken by a rising chant. Across the cavern, Kaichan, commander of the Red Lightning Tribe, raised his staff high. Sinister pink energy crackled around him as his lips curved into a cruel grin. "Die here, little prince." He leapt into the air, magic surging. The cavern trembled as he unleashed a devastating blast. Shutra looked up, his pupils shrinking. "I can't die here. I can't." The pink inferno consumed him, slamming into his body. His scream was drowned in the explosion as light swallowed everything. The system chimed coldly, "HP 0, you are dead." But instead of awakening outside the game, he opened his eyes to a vast, empty void of endless blue. His chest rose and fell raggedly as he turned in every direction, utterly alone. "I was attacked. I died. So why am I still here?" The thought pierced him like ice. Could it be, I actually died? Before despair swallowed him, a radiant golden light flared in the distance. His eyes widened as a majestic, feminine voice echoed through the void. "You are the destiny of this world." A dazzling figure emerged, ethereal, goddess-like, her beauty so divine it stole his breath. She gazed at him with unwavering authority. "Conquer, subjugate, rule." Shutra's lips parted in disbelief. He staggered back, stunned by her words, her power, her very presence. The brilliance swallowed him, pulling his consciousness away. When his vision cleared, he was back in the cavern. The battle raged on, Carrick's warriors desperately resisting, but the Red Lightning Tribe's overwhelming numbers were crushing them. Kaichan laughed cruelly, his staff dripping with power, mocking their stupidity for stepping into his trap. "Finish them," he commanded. Just as the orc horde prepared their final strike, the cavern erupted. A blinding golden light burst forth, engulfing the battlefield. The commander stares in shock at the resurrected prince, questioning how he could have returned. Shut now stands confidently amidst the chaos, his body enveloped in a powerful golden aura. A system notification appears before him, announcing he has acquired a new skill, psychokinesis. He stares at the message, completely baffled as to when or how he could have possibly learned it. A spark of realization flashes in his eyes, as he understands something fundamental has changed. His status screen now displays a subclass he has never seen before called Knight of Conquest. The enemy commander roars in absolute fury, ordering his soldiers to kill the prince first. Carrick can only stare in disbelief, his eyes wide with shock upon seeing his leader alive and well. The sight of their resurrected prince inspires the green orcs who rally to his side with renewed hope. They form a defensive wall around Chutra, ready to protect him from the charging enemy horde. The young prince clutches his broken sword hilt, his attention still glued to his status window. He reads the name Knight of Conquest, a class that he knows never existed in the original game. His eyes glow with intense focus as he questions the reason behind all these unexpected changes. He raises his broken fist, channeling his newfound energy as a spell instinctively comes to mind. His eyes glow with intense power as he feels the words resonate within him as if he has known them for a long time. He releases the spell, declaring that the power of conquest is the true power of a king. A massive wave of golden energy erupts from him, enveloping his allies and empowering them. The system confirms the activation of his Under the King's Banner ability, empowering all allies in the area. Carrick and the other green orcs roar with newfound strength, feeling the power coursing through their veins. Filled with incredible vigor, the reinvigorated soldiers advance to eliminate their enemies. The empowered orcs tear through the ranks of the Red Lightning tribe with unstoppable, overwhelming force. The battlefield shifts rapidly as Shutra's allies easily overwhelm their once dominant foes. The Red Orcs are completely stunned by their enemy's sudden, inexplicable surge in strength. Kai-chan can only stare in disbelief at the ridiculous turn of events unfolding before him. He watches his army being decimated, his eyes finally falling on the source of the chaos. The commander realizes that the young prince is responsible for turning the tide of the battle. In a last desperate effort, Kai-chan summons enormous magical crystals to attack Shutra directly, but Carrick intervenes, shattering the ground with a powerful punch and creating a smoke screen. The loyal warrior then lunges forward, propelled by the prince's psychokinesis ability. Shut points his broken sword, directing his trusted ally like a homing missile toward the enemy leader. Kai-chan watches in terror as the powerful orc warrior flies directly toward him at incredible speed. The enemy leader tries to protest, but it is too late to react or defend himself from the attack. Carrick's attack lands with devastating force, defeating the Red Lightning tribe commander. With their leader gone, the remaining Red Orcs panic and flee, and Shutra orders his men to hunt them down. A notification appears explaining that a general's merit always belongs to their king. He is then bombarded with multiple level-up messages, a reward for his general's victory. The prince stares in confusion, wondering why his level suddenly increased so dramatically. Carrick is also baffled, looking at his hands and questioning the source of his newfound power. The young prince turns to his loyal general, a new confident smirk on his face. A flashback reveals a conversation where the prince's actions made the orc question his identity. Later that night, back at their camp, the victorious orcs celebrate their unexpected victory. Shutra sat alone in his tent, his hands trembling as he frantically searched for a logout option. His eyes darted across every menu, his thoughts spiraling in panic. He tried to steady his breathing, forcing himself to think through the possibilities. The first explanation was simple, some kind of VR malfunction, a critical bug that had trapped him inside the system. If that was the case, maybe the developers would fix it and he'd be freed eventually. But the second possibility clawed at him, the one that sounded insane yet matched everything he had seen so far. Perhaps he wasn't trapped in VR at all. Perhaps he had been pulled into another world, one that was either the game itself or something terrifyingly similar. Every detail backed this conclusion. The lifelike backgrounds, the NPCs who behaved like real people and responded to his words. None of it felt programmed. He even checked his arms, his face, searching desperately for any trace of pixelation. There was nothing. His skin was real. His heartbeat was real. That left him with a single horrifying thought. If this truly was reality, then the only escape might be through death. His chest tightened at the idea, but he quickly shook his head. No, that's too reckless, too dangerous. Before his thoughts could spiral further, Carrick's voice sounded from outside the tent. "Your Highness, may I enter?" Shutra froze, pulling himself back to the moment. The curtain shifted, and Carrick stepped inside, his expression heavy and serious. The loyal general didn't waste time with pleasantries. Instead, he explained something unexpected. There would be a duel. Shutra blinked. A duel? Now? For what reason? Carrick's tone was steady, unwavering. I need to see your skill with a sword. He tossed a wooden training blade toward the prince, who instinctively caught it with both hands. Shutra stared down at it in disbelief, his eyes flicking back to Carrick. You're serious? The orc raised his own weapon, nodding firmly. Don't worry, I'll go easy on you. Shutra let out a scoff, masking his unease with a smirk. Easy? Careful, you're talking to your prince. If we're going to do this, we'll do it properly. Carrick readied his stance, muscles tightening as he prepared. Shutra lunged, swinging clumsily at his side. The strike was wild, off balance, and Carrick avoided it effortlessly. A memory flashed in Shutra's mind of his past self. Pitiful attempts at swordsmanship, his strikes weak, his efforts hopeless. Another memory flickered, him trying to smash a rock with a stick, only to break the stick in half. Back in the present, Carrick countered, his wooden blade striking the prince's side with ease. Shutra stumbled, tumbling to the ground. Ow! That was too fast! He shouted, clutching his ribs in protest. Then, before his eyes, glowing letters appeared. Skill acquired, basic swordsmanship. He froze, staring at the message in shock. How? He hadn't learned anything yet. Confusion raced through his mind until a thought clicked. Just like with psychokinesis, he had gained the skill not through training, but through experiencing an attack. Carrick extended a hand, ready to call an end to the duel. That's enough. But Shutra slapped the ground and stood, eyes burning with determination. Enough? Not even close. I'm just getting started. He charged again, this time with sharper form. Their wooden swords clashed, sparks of light flashing as power surged between them. Carrick's brows furrowed in surprise. His movements? They've improved already? The prince pressed forward, his strikes far more precise. He met Carrick blow for blow, his stance solid, his control natural. After another exchange, Shutra landed firmly on his feet, his smirk wide and confident. See? It's not so hard anymore. He lowered his weapon slightly, his gaze turning curious. Carrick, what level are you right now? The general thought for a moment. 21? Give or take. Shutra raised his hand, his interface glowing to life. His level displayed clearly. 7. Yet instead of faltering, his grin only deepened. Level 7. That's fine. I'll catch up to you soon enough. He knew the truth. Unlike anyone else here, he could open his window freely, without spells or restrictions. This ability gave Shutra an overwhelming edge. Unlike others, he could view every detail of his stats and distribute bonus points as he pleased. Gripping his wooden blade tightly, he leapt high into the air and brought down another fierce strike against Carrick. The orc warrior braced himself, surprised at the sudden burst of strength. Their sparring continued, each clash refining the young prince's movements until his strikes carried weight and purpose. With each exchange, realization dawned on him. With these advantages, I can grow stronger faster than anyone. I can surpass them all. His mind drifted to the story of Night Saga, particularly the Demon Realm arc. In the game, the protagonist Zephyr fought his siblings one by one, defeating them all to claim the throne of Demon King. The most pivotal event was the dreaded Day of Slaughter, the moment Zephyr mercilessly killed every rival sibling standing in his way. And since Shutra himself was one of those siblings, he too was destined to fall to Zephyr's blade. Opening his interface, he checked the calendar. 5 years. That's all the time he had before the Day of Slaughter. His jaw tightened. If I'm going to survive, I need to change the story. I need to be stronger than Zephyr. Carrick's voice snapped him out of his thoughts. The general stood nearby, irritation on his face. Your Highness, what are you doing out here? Did you forget about today's meeting? Shutra blinked, caught off guard. Meeting? He echoed nervously. Carrick groaned, rubbing his forehead. Everyone is already waiting. Hurry! Moments later, Shutra sat at the head of a long table, his nerves on edge. Across from him were two unfamiliar faces, siblings he had only known from the game's story. One sipped tea calmly, while the other observed him with sharp eyes. His older brother spoke first, his voice warm. I'm Chris Moonlight, No need to be so stiff, we're family. Just call me Big Brother. His sister followed with a soft smile. I'm Caitlin Moonlight. It's nice to finally meet you in person. Shutra's heart thudded. He remembered clearly Chris and Caitlin, children of Queen Elaine of the Lyanthropes. In the game, both of them died tragically 1 year before the day of slaughter, betrayed and eliminated by Zephyr and the others. Their downfall tied to Caitlin's secret. She wasn't truly the Demon King's daughter, but an illegitimate child of another affair. Chris's kindness and Caitlin's gentle words caught him off guard. Caitlin suddenly stood and walked over, leaning close to check him for injuries. Why did you fight when it was only supposed to be reconnaissance? She scolded softly. You're the weakest among us. You need to be careful. Shutra's eyes widened. He had expected hostility, yet here they were, genuinely concerned. Chris set down his cup, his tone stern. If you pull a reckless stunt again, you'll answer to me. For a moment, the prince stared at them both, his thoughts in turmoil. Could it be? The Demon King's children aren't all ruthless villains? Could they truly be kind? A determined light flickered in his eyes. He needed to seize this chance. Lyanthropes were famous for their mastery of aura, and if he could learn it, his growth would skyrocket. Turning to Chris, he flashed a cheeky grin. Big brother, can you hit me with your aura? Both Chris and Caitlin froze, staring at him in utter disbelief. Sometime later, the war against the Red Lightning tribe raged on. At the front lines, warriors from both sides clashed fiercely, the cavern echoing with the sound of steel, roars, and dying cries. The battle for survival showed no signs of ending. The battlefield had descended into pure chaos. Explosions shook the ground, the air filled with the cries of both the fallen and the living. Among the carnage, a massive armored green orc warrior stood like an immovable wall. Several red-skinned enemies swarmed him at once, but their blades and spears bounced off his defenses like twigs snapping against stone. With a single swipe of his arm, he sent 2 enemies flying. A brutal punch landed squarely on another's face, the impact shattering bone and leaving the foe screaming in agony. Not stopping there, the warrior slammed his fist into the ground, releasing a shock wave so powerful it ripped through the battlefield, tossing red orcs aside like leaves in a storm. Their commander, a red-skinned general, bellowed furiously, offering rewards to anyone who killed the green orcs. In response, the green orcs raised their weapons and unleashed a thunderous war cry, their resolve unshaken. But in the middle of it all, Shutra's vision blurred. The sounds of battle faded. He opened his eyes to find himself once again in the mysterious void. The same radiant goddess appeared before him, her presence burning with divine majesty. 2 new shadowy figures emerged behind her, their forms vague and indistinct, their identities completely unknown. Who are they? Shutra thought. They never existed in the game. The goddess placed her hand gently on his shoulder. A blinding light consumed his vision. Then suddenly he jolted awake. Sunlight streamed into his tent, the warmth of morning breaking through the flap. For a moment he sat frozen, clutching his head. Was that just a dream within the game? A large face suddenly appeared right in front of him. You're awake. Gah! Shutra yelped, stumbling back in fright. Carrick stood calmly, unfazed by his scream. You look fine. I was worried after what happened yesterday. But why in the world did you beg Chris to strike you with aura? You knew this would happen. Before Shutra could reply, a strange warmth coursed through his body. He clenched his fist, eyes widening at the energy flowing beneath his skin. A golden notification flickered before him. Skill acquired. Aura, level 1. His heart pounded. He could feel it, his aura. Overjoyed, he laughed, explaining his theory to Carrick. I knew it. Getting struck by aura awakens your own. I was right. Carrick frowned, correcting him. Half right, but close enough. The orc's expression turned serious. Tell me honestly, was it you who caused that surge of power in the last battle? Shutra hesitated, then tried to divert the question. What happened while I was out? Carrick exhaled, folding his arms. Big news. The main camp secured a victory against the Burek tribe. Shutra blinked. The main camp? But weren't we the only ones sent to fight the orcs? No, Carrick said firmly. The main camp was led by General Bandel, an ogre worth 100 men. Shutra froze. The name lit up in his memory. Bandal, a monstrous warrior, absurdly powerful. In the game, Zephyr recruited him 3 years later as one of his most terrifying subordinates. A grin spread across Shutra's face. If Bandal joins Zephyr in 3 years, then I still have time. If I can sway him now, he'll belong to me instead. He knew everything, Bandal's favorite foods, his gifts, even the hidden conditions required to earn his loyalty. But the ultimate requirement was simple, a duel. Bandal would only follow someone who could defeat him in one-on-one combat. Shutra's pulse quickened at the thought. With his knowledge and his new powers, this was the perfect chance. Zephyr will never have him. Bandal will be mine. Later, back at Caitlyn's base, the morning carried a different mood. Chris and Caitlyn listened in disbelief as Shutra demonstrated his progress. You mastered the basics of aura in just 1 day? Impossible. Shut smirked proudly. Not impossible. I put every single stat point I had into aura. It only makes sense. He explained further. Unlike other stats, aura amplified overall strength, speed, and endurance, making it the ultimate long-term investment. Chris narrowed his eyes. Even so, your growth is abnormal. Could this be because of your Gandharva bloodline? Shutra only shrugged, feigning ignorance. Chris shifted the topic, asking, Then, can you make a map of the tunnels you discovered during your mission? The young prince nodded, grinning. Of course, I have a mini-map. Just bring me paper and ink, and I'll draw it for you. Chris is amazed by the detail, exclaiming that it's much better than the map he currently has. He excitedly calls his younger brother a genius, throwing an arm around him in a proud embrace. Caitlyn points out that since they wiped out the enemy squad, no one else knows about the tunnels. She then tells the young prince that she has one more important task for him to complete. The siblings head out into the vast mountainous landscape, ready to begin their next operation. Shut finds himself on another scouting mission, accepting his role as the weakest of the brothers, for now. He notes that at least this time they have reinforcements, thanks to the credit they've earned. As they march through the forest, he notices 2 hooded figures observing them from the shadows. He is surprised to see his sister Caitlyn among them, her face partially hidden by the cloak. He asks why she's suddenly wearing a cloak, but she quickly shushes him, indicating they need to be quiet. She explains that she'll secretly tag along just in case anything unexpected or dangerous happens. He is surprised by her trust but scoffs at the idea of an achievement, focusing on his own goals. The other hooded figure introduces herself as Sira, his new adjutant for this important mission. Caitlyn tells him to focus on scouting and not to mind them, as they will follow on their own. The group ventures back into the icy cavernous tunnel system they had previously discovered. They find that all the rooms are completely empty, with no signs of life or valuable items. Carrick remarks that the dwarves must have taken everything with them when they moved out long ago. The group continues their exploration, venturing deeper into the dark and mysterious caverns. Suddenly, Carrick stops, sensing that something is approaching them from the darkness ahead. Shut checks his minimap and confirms the presence of a large group of enemies nearby. He quickly opens his inventory, a confident and prepared look on his determined face. He pulls out a special flash magic item, a small potion he brought along just in case. He whispers instructions to Carrick, telling him to have everyone shut their eyes on his signal. A massive swarm of glowing red eyes appears from the darkness, revealing a terrifying nest of spiders. These are rock spiders, monsters that move in swarms and possess a powerful paralytic venom. With the enemies now in sight, he gives the signal and throws the flash magic potion forward. The potion shatters on the ground, releasing a blindingly bright flash of intense golden light. The entire cavern is illuminated by the sudden explosion of magical radiant energy. The rock spiders screech in agony, completely disoriented and stunned by the unexpected flash. Shut explains that the creatures are immobilized by light and orders his units to attack. The orc soldiers charge forward, their battle cries echoing through the massive icy cavern. They clash with the immobilized rock spiders, cutting them down with their powerful weapons. Shut stands back, observing the battle and allowing his forces to handle the smaller threats. He pulls up his minimap again, his eyes focused on the single larger red dot among the swarm. He knows that every pack has a leader, and this one is no exception to that universal rule. He calls out to Carrick, telling him to follow as they go after the main boss of the spider nest. The two of them break away from the main group, charging deeper into the heart of the cavern. They run past the ongoing battle, their focus solely on finding and eliminating the spider leader. They soon come face to face with a monstrous multi-eyed creature much larger than the others. Carrick lets out a fierce battle cry and leaps forward, swinging his axe with all his might. His weapon connects with the creature's tough shell, but it bounces off harmlessly, creating a bright spark. The orc warrior is stunned by the ineffectiveness of his powerful attack against the boss. He complains about the creature's incredibly tough shell, which his axe is unable to pierce. Shukia recalls from the game that the monster's carapace is indeed insanely hard to break. He remembers that its only weakness is fire, but he doesn't have any fire magic at his disposal. The massive spider lets out a low growl, its many eyes glaring down at the two small intruders. It lunges forward, ready to attack, causing Carrick to brace himself for the incoming assault. The prince quickly shouts for his companion to use fire, reminding him of the creature's weakness. Carrick, however, is at a complete loss, questioning where he's supposed to find fire so suddenly. A new voice suddenly calls out to Shutra, instructing him to draw his sword immediately. He stares in disbelief, questioning if the voice he heard was actually channeling magic. His sister Caitlin appears with a powerful magical aura, asking if her enchantment will suffice. The massive spider lunges forward, its sharp mandibles ready to tear the young prince apart. With his sword now enchanted with fire, he confidently charges forward to meet the beast head-on. His eyes narrow with intense focus as he prepares to unleash the full power of his new weapon. He parries the creature's attack with his enchanted blade, the impact creating a powerful shock wave. He then leaps into the air, his cape billowing behind him as he prepares for a downward strike. He unleashes a powerful burning blade attack, engulfing the spider's many eyes in flames. The fiery attack spreads across the cavern floor, leaving a trail of destruction in its wake. Shutra landed gracefully, confidence shining in his eyes after his successful strike. A cascade of glowing messages appeared before him. Level up! Level up! The rewards for defeating the boss poured in, pushing him to level 9, a milestone that made his chest swell with pride. Caitlin, still shaken by the brilliant light from earlier, asked cautiously, "What was that?" Shutra quickly covered, forcing a calm smile. "A blessing. It sometimes happens to those with Gandharva blood." The lie slipped out smoothly, and his sister seemed convinced. She pressed further, asking how he knew so much about the spiders. He shrugged lightly, claiming he had read about them in a book. Before the conversation could continue, Carrick's voice boomed from deeper inside the cavern. "Your Highness, over here." The group gathered, following him to a massive ornate gate embedded in the rock wall. Its design was foreign, its presence out of place in the cavern's rugged interior. Cautiously, they pushed the gate open and stepped inside. Torches lined the chamber beyond, bathing the room in flickering light. Shutra froze the moment he saw it. He recognized the design instantly. Town portal. His pulse quickened. This was something he had only encountered in the game. Carrick eyed the structure curiously. "Do you know what this is?" Shutra hesitated, then gave a vague answer. "I just have a feeling." He studied the design more closely. The carvings were distinctly dwarven, just as he remembered. As Zephyr, he had never found one, but playing as the hero, he had stumbled across several. He recalled clearly, the portals activated only when infused with sufficient magic. He turned to Caitlin. "I believe it's a portal." Her eyes widened. Sierra, standing nearby, nodded in agreement. Caitlin frowned in thought. "But where does it lead?" Carrick pointed to a plaque beside the structure, etched with strange runes. The group gathered, staring at it. Caitlin tilted her head. "This isn't demon script. It looks dwarven, but I can't read it." She glanced at Sierra, who shook her head apologetically. Then, without hesitation, Shutra spoke. "Portal of the Jashuka Range, connected to the Dwarven network. Linked destination, secondary portal east." His voice trailed off as his own words sank in. "Wait, how did I just read that?" A golden notification appeared before him. "Skill acquired. Dwarven script, level 1. Carrick gaped. You can read it?" Shutra nodded slowly, still baffled. It seems I can. Sierra questioned when he had learned the language, while Caitlin urged him to continue. Shutra explained that the inscription confirmed the portal could be activated if infused with magic. Then do it, Caitlin suggested, stepping back. He scratched his cheek nervously, his lie quick. I'm not exactly good at handling magic. With a sigh, Caitlin stepped forward, raising her hands. Magic surged from her palms into the ancient device. The portal shimmered to life, its core glowing with ethereal blue light. A holographic map projected above it, outlining the rugged terrain of the Jashuka mountain range. Shutra pointed to their current position. Here, and that's where the connected portal lies. Carrick frowned. That's right where the main red lightning forces are gathering. Caitlin's expression hardened. We'll stop for now. I need to discuss this advantage with Chris. Later, back at camp, the news spread quickly. Chris embraced his younger brother with pure joy. Shutra, this is a miracle. You've brought us a game-changing discovery. He laughed, calling him their good luck charm. Anything you want, Chris declared warmly. As your brother, and as your leader, I'll grant it. Shutra tried to protest, but Chris insisted, his sincerity undeniable. After a pause, the young prince's lips curled into a small, knowing smile. If his brother was willing to give him anything, then this was an opportunity he couldn't afford to waste. He makes a big request, something he's been thinking about for a while now to get stronger. He asks his older brother to teach him the legendary beast Godfist martial art. Chris is stunned into silence by the unexpected and serious nature of his younger brother's request. Shut explains that since his level is too low for weapons, he wants to learn powerful techniques. The beast Godfist is a powerful S-rank martial art passed down through the Lyanthrop royal family. He knows it's a big ask and starts to backtrack, figuring his brother will refuse the request. To his surprise, Chris agrees to teach him, a wide smile spreading across the prince's face. However, he clarifies that he can't teach him the secret techniques of the martial art. Instead of the beast Godfist, he offers to teach his younger brother how to properly use aura. Shut is left speechless by the offer, a mix of surprise and excitement on his young face. Seeing his silence, Chris assumes he doesn't like the offer, but the prince quickly reassures him. With the deal now settled, Chris gets a serious look on his face. Addressing his younger brother, he asks if it's okay for him to think of him as another little brother, just like Caitlin. The prince is taken aback by the heartfelt question. Realizing the weight of his brother's words, he understands that this is a significant step in their relationship, a sign of true acceptance. He quickly realizes that this is a good offer and agrees to the new family dynamic. The two brothers shake hands, sealing their newfound alliance with a firm and determined grip. Caitlin looks on with a warm smile, happy to see her two brothers finally bonding. Shut declares that they will do their best together, ready to face whatever challenges lie ahead. A system notification confirms that a normal alliance has been formed with his two siblings. The alliance status is still at a basic level, but it's a crucial first step for their future. The sun sets over the mountains, casting a warm orange glow over the entire landscape. Meanwhile, at the Red Lightning Tribe's garrison, a new and sinister plot is unfolding. The Red Orc soldiers stand guard, their expressions grim and their weapons at the ready. A new, powerful-looking orc addresses his men, a cunning and cruel smirk on his face. He mentions their dear princess, hinting at a captive they have hidden within their camp. In a dark, candlelit tent, a young woman is bound by magical chains, a helpless prisoner. Shut reviews his stats, noticing that his charisma is lagging behind all his other attributes. He recalls that at first all his stats went up by 2, but now charisma only increases by 1. He wonders why his charisma is growing slower, remembering a key detail from the original game. In Night Saga, appearance and charisma were 2 separate stats, each with a different function. He dismisses the thought, figuring it makes sense given his rapid growth in other areas. More importantly, he's about to hit level 10, a crucial milestone for any character in the game. He recalls that when the main characters reached level 10, their unique skills would also level up. Carrick's voice interrupts his thoughts, announcing that everyone is ready to head out for the mission. The prince agrees, a confident and eager smile on his face, as he prepares for the upcoming battle. Carrick notes his good mood, but Shutra simply brushes it off, hiding his true excitement. The two of them step out of the tent, ready to lead their forces into the fray once again. They stand before their assembled army, the orc soldiers ready and waiting for their command. With a determined look, the prince gives the order, and the entire army begins to march forward. They head towards a dark and ominous cave entrance, the path to their next major battle. Inside the cave, Lycanthrope soldiers are already engaged in a fierce battle with the local monsters. The wolf-like warriors fight with incredible ferocity, clearing a path to the ornate gate within. The main group arrives at the portal chamber, ready to begin the next phase of their operation. Two hooded Lycanthrope mages are already there, inspecting the portal to ensure it's safe to use. They confirm that the portal connects to the Eska tributary, just as the prince had predicted. They also assure the group that the portal is functioning properly, a testament to dwarven craftsmanship. With the portal now confirmed to be safe and operational, Chris gives the order to move out. The two mages begin to activate the portal, channeling their magic into the ancient device. The portal activates, revealing a shimmering gateway to another location in the mountains. Shut stares at the portal, a mix of awe and excitement on his young, determined face. He thinks to himself how amazing it is to see one of these gates in real life, not just in a game. His sister calls out to him, urging him to hurry up and join them. As they prepare to step through, he snaps out of his thoughts and rushes forward, ready to follow his siblings into the unknown. They step through the portal and arrive in a new, unfamiliar location, a rocky and barren landscape. The prince looks around, taking in the new surroundings with a curious and observant expression. They stand on a high cliff overlooking a massive enemy encampment spread out below them. Chris is pleased with the discovery, confirming that their intel about the enemy base was correct. He estimates there are about 5,000 enemy troops, and their first priority should be the logistics officer. He outlines a plan for a pincer attack with General Vandal leading a frontal assault. However, Sierra points out that something seems strange about the encampment below them. She notes that there are far too few troops, and Chris wonders where the rest of them could have gone. A distant sound catches their attention, a sign of a battle already in progress somewhere nearby. The prince looks towards the sound, confirming that there is definitely a fight happening over there. Chris instructs him to focus his aura into his eyes to get a better view of the distant conflict. He does as he's told, his eyes glowing with a faint white light as he enhances his vision. He can now clearly see the battle, the Red Lightning tribe fighting against an unknown force. He recognizes one side as the Red Lightning orcs, but the other group is completely unfamiliar to him. The prince notes that the scale of the battle is too small to be General Vandal's main army. He recognizes the mysterious warriors as Dark Elves, a race known for their fierce combat skills. The rest of the group is surprised by this revelation, not expecting to see Dark Elves in this region. Shut explains that he can tell by their small build and the fact that they are riding Dracos. Chris spots the Dark Elves retreating from the battlefield, a sudden and unexpected turn of events. He wonders if their commander has fallen, as they are withdrawing with incredible speed. The group is left confused, questioning why the fight ended so abruptly and what it all means. The prince is particularly puzzled, wondering what Dark Elves could possibly be doing in this area. Later, back at their main camp, the siblings receive a holographic call from General Vandal. The general congratulates them on discovering the portal, a rumor he had already heard about. He commends Prince Chris's army for their impressive find, asking how they knew it was there. Chris gives all the credit to his younger brother, who humbly claims that he just got lucky. The general promises a handsome reward from the Demon King's castle for his valuable discovery. He then asks about a small skirmish that occurred near the Red Lightning Orc tribe's camp. The general explains that it was the Dark Elves who seemed to have jumped into the fight on their own. Chris is confused, as he heard they were supposed to be reinforcements from the Demon King's castle. The ogre general clarifies that there's a problem, a serious complication in their plans. He reveals that the commander of the Dark Elf unit has been captured by the Red Lightning Orcs. Shut asks who the captured commander is, a crucial piece of information for their next move. Vandal informs them that it's someone they know well, a person of great importance. The captured commander is none other than the sixth princess, Felicia Doomblade, another of their siblings. Chris and Caitlin are shocked to learn that their own sister has been captured by the enemy. She is the daughter of the third queen and a former dark elf princess with a twin brother named Sylvan. Shut recalls that in the game, both siblings were part of the fourth Princess Anastasia's faction. He wonders why Felicia has shown up in this region, speculating that she might be trying to take all the credit. Chris asks if the Red Lightning tribe knows that their captive is a dark elf princess. The general admits that he hasn't been able to confirm that information with his sources yet. The group discusses their plan, deciding to save her if possible, but without any prior negotiations. Chris declares that he has no intention of bowing his head to the enemy to secure her release. The ogre general agrees to gather more information and contact them if anything new develops. After the call ends, the three siblings stand in silence, contemplating their next move. Chris breaks the silence, a dry smile on his face as he comments on their sister's capture. Caitlin insists they have to save her if she's still alive. But her brother warns it won't be easy. She is taken aback by his hesitation, realizing the potential dangers of a rescue mission. With a determined look, she declares that they must save her, as she is their sister after all. Chris hesitates, a bead of sweat running down his temple as he weighs the risks and rewards. He knows she's right, but the practicalities of the situation make him cautious about their approach. The Lycanthrope soldiers stand guard outside the tent, their wolf-like forms ready for battle. Chris gathers his siblings and generals, laying out a simple and direct plan for the rescue while General Vandal lures the main enemy force. They will launch a surprise attack from behind. He will then push into the center of the garrison to cause chaos while the others carry out their missions. Shut confirms the mission objectives: burn the food storage, destroy the armory, and rescue Felicia. Chris adds a crucial condition: if things get too dangerous, they must pull back immediately. Caitlin objects, but her brother silences her, reminding her that he is also a unit leader. He argues that they can't let Felicia's selfish actions ruin their entire operation and risk more lives. Shut realizes that Chris doesn't actually want to save their sister, a surprising and cold revelation. He wonders what could have happened between them to cause such a rift in their relationship. As the night falls, the forces of General Vandal begin their advance on the enemy encampment. The general leads the charge, his warriors letting out fierce battle cries as they rush forward. The ogre general roars, ordering his men to take down the Red Lightning tribe with all their might. Meanwhile, Chris and his unit watch the unfolding battle from a high cliff overlooking the camp. They observe the enemy's movements, waiting for the perfect moment to launch their surprise attack. From their vantage point, they see Vandal's forces clash with the enemy. Explosions light up the night. The frontal assault is a chaotic mess of flying rocks and desperate hand-to-hand combat. A powerful ogre warrior from Vandal's army charges into the fray, ready to wreak havoc. He roars with fury, his eyes glowing with a menacing red light as he orders his men to kill them all. Carrick asks if they should join the fight, but Shutra tells him to wait for the signal. The two armies are locked in a brutal and bloody conflict, with casualties mounting on both sides. The battle is a chaotic whirlwind of swinging axes and desperate, savage cries of war. A large armored ogre warrior from Vandal's army stands his ground against the enemy horde. The general watches the battle intently, his expression grim and his focus unwavering. Vandal gives the signal, and his entire army begins to retreat from the battlefield. Chris watches as the enemy camp is engulfed in flames, a result of their strategic retreat. He then addresses his own troops, telling them that it's their turn to enter the fight. The siblings stand ready, their faces determined as they prepare to lead their forces into battle. They charge down the cliff, their soldiers following close behind with fierce battle cries. The Red Lightning orcs are caught completely off guard by the sudden and unexpected flank attack. The Lycanthrope and orc soldiers tear through the enemy ranks with savage, unstoppable force. Caitlin warns her younger brother to be careful as they rush into the heart of the chaotic battle. Shut pulls up his minimap, using it to navigate through the enemy camp with precision. He shouts for his unit to follow him to the left, a direct path to the enemy's food storage. Carrick roars with fury, ordering his men to kill every last one of the enemy soldiers. He clashes with a red orc, his powerful axe easily overpowering his opponent's weapon. The enemy cries out in pain and shock as he's sent flying by the force of the orc's attack. Carrick continues his rampage, a whirlwind of destruction in the midst of the enemy forces. He effortlessly deflects another attack, his skill and strength far superior to his opponents. A system notification appears before Shutra, announcing he has learned dagger throwing level 1. He grins, a new and deadly skill now at his disposal to use against his unsuspecting foes. Carrick is amazed by the prince's new ability, but Shutra dismisses it, urging him to keep moving. They arrive at the food storage, and the prince orders his men to set it ablaze immediately. In the midst of the flames and chaos, Shutra's eyes widened as a sudden thought struck him. Felicia. A wave of concern crossed his face. We have to find her now. Carrick frowned, uncertain. But in this battlefield, how do we know where she is? Without hesitation, the prince pulled up his minimap again. His determined gaze sharpened. Felicia is a neutral NPC. She should be marked in blue or purple. His eyes scanned quickly and then froze. A single purple dot flickered nearby, inside one of the tents. There, he shouted. Follow me. The two rushed across the camp, cutting through the chaos until they reached the marked tent. They burst through the flap, weapons ready. Inside, the dim torchlight revealed no immediate sign of her. Shutra's eyes darted around, panic threatening to take hold. Then a voice cut through the silence. Shutra? He turned sharply. There, bound in glowing crimson chains, stood his older sister, Felicia Doomblade, the 6th princess. Her beautiful face was pale with shock. How did you find me here? Relief surged through him. There's no time. It's too dangerous to stay. I'll free you, then we're leaving. Felicia stared at him silently, her expression unreadable, as though still trying to process this unexpected rescue. Shutra gritted his teeth and tore through the restraints. The chains shattered, falling away with a hiss of red sparks. Together, they slipped from the tent, moving fast toward their own lines. Felicia's voice broke the silence, tinged with disbelief. So, even the others came to rescue me? Her tone sharpened. Or was it only you? Someone who wasn't even supposed to show up? A hint of suspicion lingered in her words. Before Shutra could respond, Carrick's voice bellowed over the battlefield. Enemies incoming. Shutra grabbed Felicia's hand firmly. Come on, sis, he yelled, pulling her through the carnage. Felicia blinked at the word, sis. Her brother had never spoken to her that way before. Something between them had changed. The battlefield roared around them as they weaved through fire and steel. Suddenly, Felicia's eyes widened. Shutra, behind you. A red orc soldier lunged out of the shadows, slamming a brutal strike into Shutra's back. He staggered forward, gasping, blood spilling from his lips. Pain tore through him as the enemy raised its hands, fiery energy building. Shutra! Felicia screamed, her voice breaking in panic. The flames exploded forward, a searing torrent aimed to consume him. Felicia's fury ignited, her fists clenched, her eyes glowing with golden fire. Get away from him, she roared. Energy surged from her body, erupting in a blast that hurled the enemy backward. But as the smoke cleared, something unnatural stirred. Black mist coiled from the fallen orc's body, twisting in the air until a mysterious figure emerged. Its aura radiated overwhelming darkness, pressing down on everyone nearby. System messages lit up before Shutra's eyes. Skill acquired, magic control. Skill acquired, fire arrow. A confident smirk spread across his bloodied face. So now I can use magic too. But the reprieve was brief. From the smoke, a massive beast wreathed in fire emerged, snarling as its claws scorched the earth. The fiery monster roared, charging straight for him. Instead of fear, Shutra's heart raced with excitement. His lips curled into a grin. Perfect. Let's test these new powers. Shutra raised his hand, conjuring a bow of blazing fire. A flaming arrow formed, then another until he loosed a volley in rapid succession. Each shot streaked across the battlefield, striking enemy soldiers with burning precision. His laughter echoed amidst the chaos. Magic, real magic. This is incredible. He fired again and again, reveling in the sheer thrill of his newfound power. But then, the air shifted. A sudden wave of icy energy tore across the battlefield, freezing the ground where it touched. Shutra's eyes widened. Ice magic? He had never encountered this element before. From the shadows, An enemy archer appeared, his bow drawn. The icy arrow was aimed not at him, but at Felicia. "No!" Shutra roared. He shoved his sister out of the way, throwing himself into the arrow's path. The frozen shaft pierced him, pain flooding his body as his health dropped sharply. Felicia froze in shock, her eyes wide with disbelief at his selfless act. Then the sky itself seemed to break. Dozens of jagged ice shards rained down, a deadly storm converging on the young prince. Shutra looked up at the incoming barrage, a grin spreading across his bloodied face. This power, it's mine to take. The shard struck, detonating into a violent explosion of frost and frozen air. The battlefield shook, smoke and ice obscuring everything. When the haze lifted, a silhouette remained, Shutra, standing amidst the wreckage. A notification flickered before him. Skill acquired. Ice Arrow Level 1. He clenched his fist, grim satisfaction in his eyes. Yet pain twisted his face as the backlash hurled him backward. His health plummeted to critical levels, the warning glowing red before him. He gritted his teeth. "Damn, I was reckless." Felicia rushed to his side, her voice sharp and scolding. "Who told you to save me? You're the weakest of us. What made you think you could protect anyone?" Her words cut deeply, misunderstanding his true intentions. Shutra blinked, confused, struggling to explain. Her attention shifted as she finished off the ice mage responsible for the attack. To her, it was simple. He had protected her, nothing more. A misconception that Shutra realized might work to his advantage. Suddenly, a soft green glow filled the air. Felicia knelt beside him, her hands radiating warm, healing light. She pressed them against his chest, and the torn cloth over his body glowed faintly as the energy seeped into him. Another notification appeared. Skill acquired. Heal, Level 1. Felicia exhaled, sweat glistening on her brow. "Better." Shutra nodded, sitting up slowly. "My health's back to full." The words slipped out naturally, though she tilted her head in confusion at the strange term. Before he could explain, the ground trembled. A low, guttural roar echoed across the camp. From the smoke, a massive figure emerged. A towering red-skinned ogre, its eyes glowing like burning coals. His presence alone radiated raw, terrifying power. Shutra's face paled. He recognized it instantly. A blood ogre, one of the most dangerous mutations in the game, a monster that could crush armies on its own. Felicia rose to her feet beside him, her golden aura flaring as she prepared for battle. Shutra's hands trembled. His mind raced. How are we supposed to fight something like that? The battlefield shook again as the beast advanced, and the siblings braced themselves for the fight of their lives. The battle erupts in chaos as a massive opponent crashes down with terrifying speed, shaking the ground. The protagonist, stunned, exclaims, "What? Why is it so fast for its size?" His sister, the white-haired mage, shouts instructions. "Shutra, you distract it for a bit, and I'll blast it away with magic." Shutra looks at her in disbelief. "How am I supposed to do that?" Still, he steels himself. "Ah, got it. I'll somehow draw its aggro. So, sister, prepare your magic." She tilts her head, confused. "Aggro? What's that?" "Just something like that," he answers quickly, forcing himself forward. The ground splits apart as the monster roars. Shutra calls out, "Karuk, where are you?" The orc ally replies, "Over here." The MC instructs him, "Same as last time. Get ready." The orc nods yes. Shutra opens the system. "Now, I should be able to use the Knight of Conquest's power, right?" He channels his energy into his blade, golden light flaring across the battlefield. Under the king's banner, the orc charges with fury, roaring as his body shines with power. His eyes burn with rage as he swings down his massive weapon. The red-skinned enemy meets him head-on, smashing fists and steel together in a brutal clash that shakes the air. "Rage! Breaker!" The foe screams, unleashing a devastating strike, but the white-haired mage soars into the air, her body glowing as she casts powerful magic to counter the attack. Her voice echoes, "This time, Karuk," leaping high with violent force, declaring, "It's over!" The clash reaches its peak, An enormous impact shakes the arena as the red-skinned giant smashes down with overwhelming power. Dust and light explode everywhere. But when the smoke clears, Shutra emerges, bloodied but standing tall. He pants heavily, then lets out a small laugh. Haha, I won. Though exhausted, he steadies himself. There are still other enemies left, but I dealt with the big one. That's enough for now. A bright notification flashes before him. You have leveled up. His body glows with golden light. Huh? Finally, level 10. Another notification appears. The level of plot armor has risen, and with it, a new passive skill activates. Due to the effect of plot armor level 2, a new passive skill has been added. Shutra clenches his fist with determination. Good now. Shall I open the present box? The system responds. Battlefield Blessing level 0.1. The accuracy of ranged weapons aimed at the protagonist is slightly reduced. Shutra's eyes widen. This is Stormtrooper effect. He smirks, realizing the power in his hands. Everyone has probably seen it at least once. Scenes where dozens of bullets rain down, but they all miss the hero. With this skill, I can recreate that plot armor effect. But there's no time to celebrate. A horde of enemies charges forward, roaring in unison. Felicia calls out urgently, Shutra, what are you doing? The enemies are coming. Oh, right. He snaps back, preparing himself. Felicia spreads her hands, summoning her power. A brilliant spirit emerges, swirling around her in radiant energy. Shutra's eyes wide open. It looks like magic, but that isn't magic. The enemies cry out in fear. A spirit. That's definitely a spirit. Even dark elves, corrupted as they may be, are still elves, and Felicia was a natural-born spirit user. Her magic shines brightly as she takes command of the battlefield. Shutra watches in awe. Can I hit that too? His lips curl into a grin, eyes gleaming with excitement as the next phase of battle begins. A flare shoots into the sky, burning bright above the battlefield. The orcs immediately notice it. Prince, what's that flare? He replies grimly. Yellow means retreat. Shutra frowns. What's happening? Don't tell me someone's in danger. Karak asks. What are your orders, Prince? Shutra doesn't hesitate. Karak, take the troops and fall back. I'm going to Caitlin. Karak blinks in surprise. Huh? What? Then I'll go with you, Prince. But Shutra shakes his head. There's a reason for the retreat order. Just do as I say for now. Felicia steps forward with a smile. I'll go with Shutra. I'm not the type to leave a debt unpaid. And I'd like the chance to return the favor. Besides, I still have business with those fiends. Karak nods. Then be careful. I'll wait above. Shutra responds. Got it? See you soon. While walking, Felicia mutters. But do we really have to go to Caitlin? Shutra responds. You never know. That sudden retreat order. If she's in trouble, the front will just break apart together. Felicia glances at him knowingly. You're worried about Caitlin. Shutra answers firmly. Well, we're siblings, so of course. But deep down he admits. Actually, it's because we're allies. Meanwhile, the battlefield grows bloodier. Caitlin charges in, dashing with incredible speed through the enemy ranks. Her blade shines brightly as she cuts through the horde of red-skinned demons. The monsters roar, but she slashes them down one by one, his sword gleaming with blue light. From afar, Shutra and Felicia watch as the warrior pierces through the chaos, holding the line against overwhelming odds. Shutra watches calmly as the situation shifts. Relieved. Heh, just as I thought. No need to worry at all. They regroup with Caitlin, who looks uneasy. Shutra? Why didn't you retreat? She asks. Shutra hesitates, fumbling for words. Well, to rescue, no, to help. But before he can explain further, Caitlin rushes over. Felicia is suddenly embraced tightly. Felicia! I'm so glad you're safe. Caitlin cries with genuine relief. Felicia smiles faintly, replying, Of course I am. Honestly, you worry too much. Meanwhile, Shutra keeps a sharp eye on the battlefield. Notifications flicker before him, displaying shifting troop positions on the map. He mutters, The enemies are spreading and regrouping. They're moving their main forces back. Huh! With resolve, Caitlin turns to Shutra. You lead the way and we cover the rear. Shultra nods firmly. Got it. Soon, they pass through a fortified gate, where a large crystal barrier protects the stronghold. Shutra and his allies enter, greeted by familiar faces. Felicia asks if Shutra was the one who found this portal too. Caitlin confirms, adding that he made a huge contribution to this subjugation. Felicia was amazed, wondering when on earth did he change so much. You've all returned safely, a commanding voice calls out. It's their leader, broad-shouldered, golden-haired, exuding authority. Brother, Caitlin exclaims. She grins proudly. I brought Felicia back safely. Their reunion stirs emotions, but duty calls. The leader addresses Felicia. It's been a while, sister. She nods softly. Yeah, it has. Later, in a quieter moment, the commander gathers them. I plan general withdrawal for now. That bastard wouldn't give up once he saw the garrison burning. Shutra exchanges a look with Caitlin. Yulchin, he asks. She told him that this is the great chieftain of the Red Lightning tribe. Felicia's expression hardens. So, does that mean Yakujin surrendered? The golden-haired commander shakes his head. Not exactly. Looks like he just ran off. If he regroups with scattered allies, he could still fight again. Tomorrow we'll attack the unit of Kairam, Kaichin's older brother. He adds quietly, it'll be trouble if he links up with Yakujin. Anyway, that's enough briefing. How did you end up here? Felicia explains, I was researching some ruins nearby. When I heard news of the battle, I rushed over to help. Her brother eyes her suspiciously. That story, is that the truth? She smirks faintly. Why do you think I'm lying? The meeting ends. The commander stands tall. You must be exhausted. Let's call it a day. Everyone, rest up. Okay. Understood, brother, Caitlin replies. That night, Shutra checks his system window, gazing at his new skills. Wow. Just looking at these feels great. Well, I guess the only thing I can use in a real fight now is aura. Later, as he's sitting alone, Felicia approaches. Shultra. He looks up, startled. Felicia? What's up this late? She steps closer. Mind if I come in? Shultra shifts nervously. Sure. She walks up, her expression unreadable. Then suddenly, she grips his collar tightly. What? He stammers in shock. Her voice is calm but firm as her eyes meet his. Could you take off your clothes? The tension spikes as Felicia's intentions remain shrouded in mystery, leaving Shultra frozen in disbelief. Felicia, with her calm but firm gaze, grips Shultra's collar and utters the shocking words. Would you mind taking off your clothes? Shultra freezes, stunned. His eyes widen in disbelief. Wait, what? He stammers nervously, unable to process her sudden demand. Felicia's tone doesn't falter. Your clothes. Her piercing gaze lingers, and Shultra notices the gleam of her necklace as the tension thickens. His confusion only grows. But why? He asks, his face flushing red. Felicia's lips curl into a faint, teasing smile. Don't you want to be treated? Shultra, caught completely off guard, blurts out, Huh! The next moment, the atmosphere shifts. The two of them sit on the floor, Felicia's hand glowing faintly as she prepares to heal him. What I did earlier was more like first aid, she explains softly, her magic light illuminating the room. But you might have internal injuries, so now I'll cast a real healing spell on you. Shultra swallows hard, feeling the warmth of her power. He thinks quickly, crap, and I got my hopes up for nothing. Felicia tilts her head, sensing something. The way your body's mana circulates, it's unusual. Shultra panics inside but tries to brush it off. It's nothing. It just happens sometimes. Sometimes? She presses. But Shultra quickly changes the subject, leaning forward with determination. More importantly, was it a favor to ask you, Sister Felicia? A favor? She asks curiously. Yes. He nods, a grin spreading on his face. It's a favor that only you can grant, Felicia. The system window suddenly flickers before him. New skills acquired. Cure level 0.1. Recovers from status abnormalities. Cure poison level 0.1. Recovers from poison status. Cure disease level 0.1. Recovers from disease status. Shultra beams with excitement. Nice. This is satisfying. Thanks to Felicia's healing and the connection with her magic, he's obtained these new skills. Another notification rings. Cure level 0.1 has been acquired. Cure poison level 0.1 has been acquired. Cure disease level 0.1 has been acquired. Shultra clenches his fists with energy. And on top of that lesson, training begins immediately. His mentor explains, of the many martial arts, the one you'll be learning now is Beast Fist. Shultra's eyes light up. Beast Fist. Yes, she confirms. Today you'll learn the Beast Fist of the werewolves. It's the foundation of the divine Beast Fist, one of the most symbolic martial arts of the lycanthropes. Images flash of warriors unleashing terrifying beastly strength. This technique, passed down through countless battles, is a cornerstone of lycanthrope combat. But keep in mind, she warns, Beast Fist requires both natural aura and internal aura. So today, I'll start by teaching you how to control your internal aura. Shultra nods with determination. Understood. He closes his eyes, focusing inward. Energy flows through him as his teacher's voice echoes. Now close your eyes and focus on your aura. Blue light bursts around Shultra, shimmering like lightning. His body trembles, but he steadies himself. I can feel it, he whispers. Aura, the power of life. His arms glow with pure energy, veins of light spreading through his body. The narration explains, aura is infinitely close to the power of the soul, and when pushed to its very limits, aura becomes the soul's power itself. With a roar, Shultra channels this overwhelming force, his aura blazing outward like a storm. His teeth grit as the power surges through him. His entire body radiates with blinding blue aura. Then another golden notification appears. Passive skill. Protagonist's body level 0.1 has been acquired. Shultra blinks. Huh? Protagonist's body? The description flashes. Increases the training efficiency of all body-based skills. When the skill levels up, new traits will be unlocked. He gasps. So this is the protagonist's buff? It boosts growth itself. More skills light up. Experience body level 0.1 accelerates growth in physical combat. Brain's body level 0.1 strengthens memory, increasing training effects. Shultra trembles with excitement. This is insane. I'll get stronger faster than anyone. This is what it means to be the protagonist. But his teacher interrupts sternly. What are you rambling about? Focus. Right? He replies, laughing nervously. The real training begins. Now, his mentor says, let's start learning Beast Fist in earnest. Focus aura into your hands. Shultra breathes deep. Blue flames surge around his fists. New skill. Beast Fist level 0.1 has been acquired. He opens his eyes in shock. I can actually execute the basic moves already. Amazing. This is Beast Fist. The aura wraps tightly around his arms. He feels raw power coursing through him, almost like a second heartbeat. But before he can celebrate, a messenger bursts in, panting heavily. Prince Shultra, we have a huge problem. Everyone turns sharply to their leader. Kairam's forces have vanished. They were shocked. What? The leader continues. It seemed that bastard Kairam figured out our strategy. Caitlin asks about the plan now. He said according to intel from General Vandal's side, it looks like Yakuzan and Kairam will rendezvous here. Considering terrain and location, there's a high probability our prediction is correct. Shultra then said they have to make a decision. The leader brightly said they will join forces with General Vandal. They're going to engage the Red Thunder tribe in an all-out war alongside the main army. After training, Shultra and his allies march to meet General Vandal. The massive warrior greets them with booming laughter. You've done well to come, Prince Chris. Chris nods respectfully. It's good to see you again, General Vandal. The General Vandal then asks Felicia how she's been, but she was worried about her subordinates. Vandal assures her they're all doing fine. Shultra looking at Vandal thinks, the character I used the most in Night Saga, is that why? Even his menacing face feels somewhat familiar. Introductions follow, with Shultra stepping forward. I'm Shultra. Nice to meet you. The orc grips his hand firmly. Right? Good to see you as well, Prince Shultra. The alliance is sealed, but the tension of war hangs heavy. That night, Shultra experiences a vivid dream. Two radiant figures descend from the heavens, bathed in golden fire, the incarnations of conquest and war. Their overwhelming presence shakes him to his core. He wakes suddenly in his bed, gasping. A dream? But it felt so real. The images burn into his mind. Two godlike powers, their gazes fixed upon him. Shultra wonders uneasily. What was that vision supposed to mean? Morning comes. A soldier calls from outside. Prince, let's go. We're about to move out. Shultra rises quickly. I'm coming. The army prepares. Shultra narrates. In this battle, he was assigned to the left flank. Vandal was in the center with Chris and Caitlin on the right flank. The Dark Elves, with their superior mobility, were assigned to the rear as a separate detachment. The advance began and time flew by in a flash. When he finally regains his awareness, he finds himself standing on the front lines, face to face with thousands of enemy soldiers. The battlefield stretches endlessly, banners whipping in the wind, blades gleaming under the blood-red sky. The sound of horns and war cries thunder across the plains as the clash begins. After joining forces with General Vandal, the Alliance prepares for their decisive battle. Shultra is assigned to the left flank, Vandal commands the center, and other divisions take their places across the battlefield. The army marches out, and soon, Shultra finds himself standing among thousands of soldiers, staring at the enemy's massive army lined up against them. Suddenly, the Red Thunder tribe roars their war cry. Everyone prepare for battle formation. Vandal glares ahead, his tusks bared in fury. Let's teach these bastards the true meaning of pain. He then left his weapon high, encouraging his army. All troops advance. The battlefield erupts into chaos as waves of orcs and warriors crash into each other. Steel clashes against steel. War cries shake the earth, and the smell of blood fills the air. But as the suppression force surges forward, a sinister laugh echoes from the enemy's side. Fools! Explosions rip through the battlefield. Blinding blasts tear apart the front lines, sending soldiers flying. Vandal stumbles, his eyes widening in horror. What the hell is this? The ground shakes violently. Dust and fire consume the air. Out from the chaos, an enormous shadow emerges. A swamp mammoth, its massive tusks glinting with killing intent, charges straight through the battlefield. Vandal's soldiers scream in shock. A swamp mammoth? The beast rampages wildly, trampling everything in its path. Explosions continue to rain down, ripping through the formations. Shultra gasps. We've been lured in. This was their trap from the beginning. The enemy unleashes their terrifying trump card, the swamp mammoth, a beast so massive and dangerous that even elite hunters avoid crossing its path. Its crimson eyes glow menacingly as it stomps across the battlefield, tusks gleaming like blades. As its name suggests, it lives in swamps. The narration explains, but it's far deadlier than any normal mammoth. In short, it's a true monster. Shultra stares up at the beast in shock, sweat dripping down his face. They even had a swamp mammoth prepared? The creature bellows, shaking the earth. Soldiers panic, while Shultra realizes the enemy had set this trap from the start. Just then, a group of lizards appeared joining the war. Upon seeing them, Shultra and orcs were shocked, and now even the lizardmen have appeared. Meanwhile, the command units are scrambling. Chris growls, "Damn it! So they knew all this time, and they've been toying with us." Caitlin counters calmly, "It might be better to retreat for now and look for another opportunity." But Chris shakes his head fiercely. "If we don't pull back successfully, we might suffer even greater losses. Maybe even total annihilation." Caitlin then said that if it keeps going like this, the casualties will only keep piling up. So they need to make a decision. Now's the time to retreat. Chris raises his massive voice. "Hear me, all forces, mages, form a defensive line at the rear and hold them off as long as possible. The rest of you quickly form ranks and prepare to retreat." The orcs roar in unison, reforming their positions with shields and weapons raised. The battle intensifies. Waves of enemy soldiers crash forward alongside the mammoth's thunderous charge. A lizard man jumped on Shultra. He was lost. At the last moment, Carrick sliced the lizard man from behind, protecting his leader, while Shultra stares with his open eyes in shock. "Get hold of yourselves," Carrick bellows. One wrong move and we'll all die here. Shultra clenches his teeth, his aura flickering. All right, Carrick is right. This isn't a game anymore. Chris throws himself back into the fray, punching through enemies while screaming for his army survive no matter what and return alive. But the devastation is too great. The enemy's ambush has already cost them dearly. Later, in the command tent, the leaders regroup, their expressions grim. Chris lowers his head. This was my negligence. I should have suspected something. The weight of his words sinks heavily into the room. Another commander speaks sharply. Stop blaming yourself. It's already done at this point. Their only options are to either withdraw completely or request for reinforcement from the Demon King's castle. Chris clenches his fists. Yes, that's what must be done. I can't let my subordinates be dragged to their deaths just because of my pride. We need a solution. At that moment, Felicia steps forward, her eyes gleaming with determination. Wait, I just thought of something. Everyone turns toward her. The very reason I came to this area in the first place was because I was going to explore a ruin, and the destination of that exploration was at the end of the Gishka Mountains. Shultra was thinking, Felikea may be an outstanding mage, but even in Night Saga, she wasn't a combat-oriented character. Her character's traits were confined on research and ruin investigation. Felicia continues, For a long time now, I've been studying a ruin said to exist within these mountains for 1,500 years. Enkidu, the Earth Dragon's lair. A dragon named Enkidu once resided in those mountains. From him, numerous treasure guardians were born. Creatures bred to protect his lair. Images flash of monstrous beasts and towering figures protecting something ancient. Felicia explains further. Among them, she reveals, were dwarves who had once lived in Gishka Mountains. To ensure the protection of his horde, Enkidu granted them divine weapons. Her voice grows sharper. One such weapon is called the anvil that gives birth to thunder. It not only controls the chimeras but also grants the ability to cast magic on an army-wide scale. The room falls silent at the weight of her revelation. Felicia slams her hand down on the table. If we want to win, our only option is to find that weapon. When Felicia Doomblade insists that the anvil is their only hope of defeating the Scarlet Lightning tribe, the general challenges her by asking if she knows its exact location. She doesn't. At this, the seventh prince dismisses her plan as reckless, calling it sheer foolishness to risk everyone's lives on a treasure hunt. But then Prince Chutra speaks up. He affirms the anvil's existence, explaining that he encountered it while playing the game as Felicia's Locke. He also recalls reading about the anvil in Dwarven rune lore. Despite the uncertainty, Chutra declares his trust in Felicia Doomblade. Chris Moonlight, however, remains firm in his skepticism. That's when the protagonist chimes in, mentioning that another tribe has a similar legend. He believes the ruin's entrance might be nearby and offers to scout the area himself, taking full responsibility if things go wrong. He urges the group to let him go full throttle. Using Felicia's phantom steed horses, the protagonist, her siblings, and the orc leader set out in search of the ruins. With the help of his minimap, the protagonist estimates that it will take about an hour to reach the entrance. Still, he worries about guiding them without raising suspicion. Improvising, he claims that the tunnel layouts share a consistent logic, and by analyzing the terrain and tunnel characteristics, he can determine the anvil's approximate location. Though the group is puzzled by his explanation, Felicia pretends to understand and tells him to lead the way, even if she finds his reasoning strange. Following his guidance, they arrive at a sealed entrance. As confusion sets in, the hero asks the eighth princess to break through. When Felicia expresses doubt, he reassures her that, based on his calculations, there will be no dungeon guardians if they enter here. He also points out that Caitlin Moonlight lacks the means to force an entrance. The sixth princess steps up, using her expertise in destruction and ruin exploration to shatter the entrance with explosive force. As the debris clears, they step inside and spot a half-dome surrounded by several towering pillars. Hoping the anvil lies within, they approach the dome and begin inspecting it. Felicia notices 9 statues encircling the room, but only 3 are holding weapons. Noting that the weapons are dwarven forged, the group deduces that the remaining statues must also be equipped similarly. Before concern arises over where to find more weapons, The hero reveals he collected 6 dwarven swords during their last tunnel expedition. They place a sword in each empty hand, and as the final statue is armed, a radiant light beams from the half-dome. It begins to open. As the dome fully unveils, their eyes widen with joy at the sight of the legendary anvil that forges thunder. Momentarily stunned, the 6th princess quickly shifts focus to activating the relic. She orders the hero and the orc leader to remain where they are and positions the rest at the 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and 9 o'clock points of the chamber's circular platform. She explains the process. They'll infuse mana into the anvil in a clockwise sequence, beginning with her, increasing the mana flow gradually as it moves from one person to the next. Once everyone takes their place, they channel mana into the disc. A surge of brilliant light shoots into the sky. Blinded by the flash, the protagonist instinctively shuts his eyes. When he opens them again, he finds himself surrounded, standing amidst a massive crowd of warriors and monstrous beasts. Before he can process the situation, a deep, thunderous roar echoes through the air. A terrifying dragon, black as night, soars above them. A voice booms, commanding the group to protect the sacred nest of the great Enkidu and to serve as the gatekeepers between the demon and human realms. Suddenly, the hero snaps his eyes open and finds himself lying on the ground. It dawns on him that the dragon was none other than the Black Dragon, Kidu. To his shock, everyone else confirms they saw it too, even though none of them can make sense of the vision. Felicia then declares that the anvil will reveal the truth. But as she touches the anvil, a surge of violet energy erupts from it in powerful waves, directly affecting her. The hero rushes to help, only to be struck by the same mysterious force. A disembodied voice declares that they must conquer the earth dragon within Kidu's mana, as a trial is now upon them, cast because they dared to act without permission. After a tense moment, the energy finally subsides. The anvil shrinks, transforming into a hammer. At the same time, the hero finds one of his eyes turned pitch black. He sits quietly, the thunder hammer now in his grasp. The 6th princess, however, is nowhere to be found. Meanwhile, the Scarlet Lightning tribe locates the hero's main base. Their chief, Yakuzan, orders a full-scale assault to wipe out the remaining forces. Monstrous beasts and massive fireballs rain down upon the camp, causing explosive devastation. Chris Moonlight rushes outside, panic setting in as he realizes the others are still in the mountains, and their forces are close to being annihilated. High above, from the mountain cliffs, Chief Yakuzan watches the destruction unfold and laughs. He attempts to cast a spell on the orcs, but suddenly, his arm becomes paralyzed. At that moment, one of the mammoths in the camp glows with a strange purple light and turns against the Scarlet Lightning tribe. Yakuzan, alarmed, starts to piece it together. Could the Demon King's heir have found the anvil? Back in the mountains, the hero finally stands, gripping the thunder hammer, Enkidu's chosen weapon. Felicia gazes at it in awe and remarks that the great Enkidu may have chosen him. She urges him to use it. Guided by the knowledge bestowed through Enkidu's mana, the hero understands how to wield the thunder hammer and impose control over defeated enemies. He decides to begin with the swamp mammoths. Raising the hammer high, he slams it against the half-dome. Instantly, the mammoths at the main base begin rampaging through the ranks of the Scarlet Lightning tribe, turning the tide of battle. Witnessing this sudden reversal, the general realizes that the prince and princesses have succeeded in their mission. Seizing the moment, he orders the orcs to attack and wipe out the enemy. Following his command, the orcs charge forward, striking down lizard men and ogres. Chief Yakuzan watches in horror as his forces are overrun. One of his subordinates pleads with him to retreat and regroup. But before they can escape, the 7th prince appears. He offers Yakuzan a chance to surrender. In response, the chief lunges at him, weapon drawn. But the prince activates the beast god fist art and strikes him down in a single, devastating blow. The death of their leader sends panic through the enemy ranks, and they scatter, fleeing the battlefield. Back at the base, Chris Moonlight stands alone, overwhelmed by the chaos but still worried for the hero and the princesses. Meanwhile, atop the cliffs, the orc head and his team watch in awe as the enchanted mammoths continue tearing through the remaining enemies. The 6th princess begins explaining the power of the anvil but suddenly loses her balance mid-sentence. Her adjutant catches her just in time and urges her to rest. With that, the group decides to return, only to discover that the protagonist is missing. Meanwhile, after the battle, the hero experiences a massive boost in his level, thanks to his successful control of Enkidu's relic. A notification pops up, informing him that his level of conquest has also increased, which excites him as it means significant improvements to his main skills. As he continues checking through his skill list, the 8th princess suddenly arrives and smacks him on the head for leaving the mountain hall without notice. After scolding him, she informs him that they'll be camping there for the night, as Felicia has lost consciousness. When the two return to the mountain hall, Caitlin Moonlight fills the hero in on everything that happened while Felicia is being tended to by the other team members. Since they can't summon the phantom steeds without Felicia, the team is forced to camp and care for her until she recovers. Later that night, while everyone is resting, Chutra wonders aloud if his stamina has fully recovered from leveling up. He doesn't feel tired at all. Then it hits him. They're inside a ruin, which likely contains hidden weapons or treasure. Despite the dungeon's traps and guardians, Chutra feels confident. After all, he now wields the absolute power of the anvil. Motivated by the thought of valuable loot, he takes the orc head with him and ventures deeper into the ruin. They soon open a door and come face to face with a terrifying sight. The arc golem, lying dormant in the form of a griffin. The sheer pressure emanating from it convinces them to back away quietly and continue exploring. Eventually, they come across a chamber filled with weapons and treasure. The orc head picks up a set of armor and shows it to the hero, who senses a subtle mana flow from it. It's magic armor. He tells the orc head to keep it. They begin collecting useful items. The hero stores most of them in his inventory, while instructing the orc head to gather the rest. Then, something catches the hero's eye. A closed chest tucked away near the wall. Upon opening it, a hidden passage reveals itself. Excited by the possibility of a rare discovery, he enters the passage alone and arrives at a mysterious chamber. In the center, purple flames swirl around a levitating object. A voice calls out to him. Recognizing the mana instantly, he realizes, despite never meeting them before, that it's Enkidu's voice. Suspended within the violet flame is the legendary gauntlet, Earthshaker. Ju's eyes gleam at the sight of Enkidu's gauntlet. He steps forward, attempting to claim it. Though he lacks several qualifications to wield such a powerful relic, the gauntlet acknowledges him as its rightful master and grants him permission. As the gauntlet flies into his hand and fits perfectly, he feels a powerful surge coursing through him. His strength, magic, and endurance skyrocket. Awed by his newfound power, he admires the gauntlet for a brief moment, until the orc head suddenly appears behind him. Startled, the hero quickly hides Earthshaker in his inventory. When asked about what just happened, the orc head reveals he saw everything. Worried that his inventory system or secrets might be exposed, the hero tenses up. But the orc head calmly assures him that he understands the importance of secrecy. He promises to keep the existence of the gauntlet and what he saw confidential. The orc head urges the hero to leave the ruin with him, saying the place is giving him the creeps. Just as they're about to exit, the hero spots something that could be useful for the 6th princess. They retrieve it on their way out. Upon returning to the group, the hero helps Felicia drink a magical recovery potion, which finally brings her back to consciousness. When she asks what happened, the 8th princess explains that the hero brought the potion from the ruins just for her. Jay takes the opportunity to proudly declare himself the ruler of the ruins and advises Felicia to rest so she can fully recover her magic. Later, the group flies back to the main base. The general congratulates them on their success. Not long after, the 7th prince arrives from the camp and finally acknowledges the 6th princess's accomplishments, offering her sincere praise. He then instructs the group to rest before handling the final stages of the operation, as some remnants of the Scarlet Lightning tribe remain and will be dealt with in 2 weeks. Jay jokingly calls it a 2-week vacation, but Caitlin Moonlight disagrees. She leans in and whispers something in his ear, then announces to the others that he has something to do with her. From there, Caitlin takes the hero to continue his beast fist training, an ordeal that leaves him utterly exhausted. For the first 5 days, he's practically pummeled by her. However, after a week, he starts analyzing her moves more effectively. By the 11th day, he shows real progress. Both his beast fist and aura have reached level 5. Caitlin informs him that he's finally ready to begin learning the true Beast Lord Fist, much to his excitement. She also reveals a new way to manipulate aura and instructs him to focus deeply. Interlocking her fingers with his, Caitlin channels her mana to create a unique aura field, one that even the hero can clearly feel. Much like the Beast Fist, her aura begins to guide him. She explains that aura, being the power of life, transforms into the power of the soul once it reaches its peak. At that point, it can conquer the raw force of domination, subduing others into submission. As the training continues, the hero's aura intensifies. Eventually, he fully awakens the Beast Lord Fist, and when he fuses it with the power of Earthshaker, his strength grows exponentially. Unbeknownst to them, the general quietly observes everything from behind a nearby tree, his expression unreadable. The next morning, Jay speaks with the 8th princess about the subtle tension between Chris Moonlight and Felicia. He needs both of them on his side, and their distance is troubling. She explains that, while there's no direct conflict between the two, the 7th prince appears to hold a grudge against Felicia's brother, the 5th prince. His name is rarely spoken, but he was a formidable opponent back when Jay played as Zephyr in the game. Before Jay can ask more, Chris Moonlight enters and informs them to pack up. The group will be leaving that afternoon to report their completed mission. As they prepare to depart, the general thanks them for their efforts and expresses a personal wish to meet the hero again someday. With that, the siblings head out toward the demon castle. Their journey begins. First, they must travel to a teleportation circle to make the long-distance spatial leap. From there, they'll use magic to return directly to the castle. However, the nearest teleportation circle is a 3-day walk away, and they can't afford to stop at inns or rest houses. So, once again, they prepare to spend the night under the open sky. Shutra sits on a stone, absent-mindedly drawing names in the sand with a twig. The names of the Demon King's first 3 children. A faint sense of nervousness creeps over him as he thinks about returning to the Demon King's castle the next day. The castle is currently split into 3 major factions. The first faction belongs to the 2nd prince, Zephyr Ragnaros, the Demon King's greatest rival. The second is led by the 1st prince, Cal Ragnaros, and the third is under the 4th princess, Anastasia Nekrian. In the demon realm, succession isn't based on birth order but on demonstrated strength and merit. Among the contenders, Cal and Zephyr are nearly equal in power, as they are full-blooded brothers, both descendants of the Draconian clan through their mother's bloodline. This heritage grants them immense strength. However, if one had to be chosen, Cal, the eldest, would likely be preferred for his moderate and rational nature. Yet none of this may matter anymore. Everything is about to change. That's why Shutra has resolved to prepare for what's to come. His first goal, to level up until he can fully wield Earthshaker and harness the full potential of his newly unlocked skill, King's Knights. Later that night, he activates King's Knights, and a mysterious unit called the Knight Order is created. Curious, he checks the skill details and is surprised to find it's not a typical summoning type skill as he'd assumed. Instead, it seems closer to a guild system. It includes training bonuses, stat buffs, and even summoning mechanics. This skill might actually be broken, he mutters, getting increasingly excited about its future potential once leveled up. While he's still talking to himself, Carrick appears, finally having tracked down where Shutra wandered off to. The orc head scolds him for staying up so late when they need to wake early in the morning and tells him to come back. But Shutra ignores the warning. His eyes light up as he asks Carrick if he'd like to participate in an experiment. After a moment's hesitation, Carrick agrees. Following the hero's instructions, Carrick kneels on one knee. Shutra draws his sword, gently resting it on Carrick's shoulder. "I appoint you as my knight," he declares. Immediately, Carrick feels something surge within him. He stands up in surprise, saying that his loyalty toward the hero seems to have increased. Just as he says it, his level rises to 24, much to Shutra's satisfaction. When Carrick asks about the strength now flowing through his body, Shutra doesn't explain. Instead, he asks, "Do you want to become the strongest orc in the world?" Carrick remains silent, listening intently as the hero quietly mutters a dream, to make Carrick the mightiest orc emperor in Night Saga, one who could rival even the dragons. The next morning, the group finally arrives at the nearest teleportation circle. One by one, they step inside. A bright light engulfs them, and a massive surge of energy bursts from the top of the teleportation platform. Moments later, the group reappears within the demon castle. Caitlin rushes to Shutra's side, asking if he's all right. He nods in response. Suddenly, a group of women call out to Felicia, their voices full of relief and excitement. They rush toward her, speaking with respect and admiration, clearly thrilled by her return. As they crowd around her, complimenting her beauty and grace, the hero watches in awe. It feels like he's witnessing a royal idol fan club. Out of curiosity, he leans over to Carrick and asks, "Are those her attendants or subordinates?" Meanwhile, Chris and Caitlin are also greeted by a group of werewolves and other officials, all showing them formal respect. Shutra looks around, noticing how everyone seems to have someone waiting for them, except him. Two elven women nearby whisper quietly while casting glances his way. He realizes the murmurs are likely tied to his uncertain standing within the castle's hierarchy. Still, he brushes off the unease and turns to Carrick, ready to start changing things. Little by little, Carrick nods without hesitation. In a remote corner of the castle lies a dusty, long-forgotten room. Cack comments that they might as well unpack here. Shut shrugs and replies that at least they have a room, and for that he's grateful. Cack adds that the official event schedule begins tomorrow, and until then, they're free to spend their time however they like. Shutra, however, remarks that it doesn't feel any different from being abandoned in some forgotten place. Just then, there's a knock at the door. Curious, Shutra wonders who it could be. A woman enters, introduces herself as Flora Seven Sword from the Demon King's Castle Real Estate Management Bureau, and says it's an honor to meet him. Shutra, surprised, asks why someone from such a prestigious office would come to a dilapidated place like this. Flora explains that his public merit level has risen, and he's now eligible to choose a new residence. This news clearly catches him off guard. They head to the Office of Public Merits, where they're greeted by a receptionist named Isabella. She informs Shutra that he's come to the right place. Confirming the news, she opens a status window showing that, following his latest conquest, his merit level has increased to level 5. As a result, he now has access to additional facilities within the Demon King's castle, and his monthly stipend has increased from 5 gold to 500 gold. He's the first prince to achieve this much on his very first mission. Shutra laughs in disbelief, then asks to see the available residences right away. Isabella agrees, and Cack, still trying to catch up, asks if this is really going to be their new home. Flora appears again, commenting that he arrived earlier than expected. Cack is surprised to see her so soon. She tells them it's an honor to serve him from now on and reveals that she's a follower of Camilla, the goddess of dreams and shadows. Cack, confused, asks what's going on. Wasn't she from a government bureau? Shutra explains that he hired her using his merit points, a kind of currency earned through accumulated achievements. He adds that Cack doesn't need to understand all the details. Cack mutters that Shutra's been talking a lot of nonsense lately. The next day, Cack is dressed up and nervously says he keeps feeling like he has to pee, probably from anxiety. Shutra tells him to just go already, adding that he's making things awkward. Caitlin enters, complimenting their appearance. Felicia asks who she thinks picked out their outfits. Caitlin praises Felicia for her fashion sense, and Felicia proudly says her hard work paid off. Caitlin turns to Shutra, telling him he looks great and that the outfit suits him perfectly. Shutra compliments them in return, saying they both look amazing, which makes them blush and shyly reply, "Of course." Chris enters next, mentioning that this will be his first audience ceremony. He reminds Shutra that he's the star today and should proudly show himself to everyone in the castle. Shutra agrees. As the grand doors open and the crowd gathers, Shutra reflects that some people may believe his accomplishments were nothing more than luck. He had assumed they would be watching him, those who once dismissed him as a worthless prince, now seeing him in a new light. All eyes turned toward him as they stood before the Demon King. Chris Bose formally declared they stood before Mitra, the great ruler of the demon realm, and their father. One of Mitra's assistants suggested they report the achievements. Shutra reflected that this man wasn't just their father. He was the father to all children of the Demon Kings, a figure who must never be underestimated within the castle. A heavy pressure began to press down on Shutra. Simply standing before Mitra made him feel as if his entire body might shatter under the weight of the moment. Suddenly, The goddess of conquest revealed her name and stretched out her hand. A warmth spread through Shutra's chest as she reminded him. He too is a king. She urged him to endure the crushing weight of the demon king's presence, to overcome the oppressive gaze, and to subdue it with his will. Radiant light began to emanate from him. The goddess declared, "This is the power fitting of a king." For the first time, Mitra's eyes softened with pride. He called out to Shutra by name. Gasps rippled through the room. His siblings stood in stunned silence. Shutra looked up at Mitra, completely dumbfounded. Mitra smiled and said he looked forward to Shutra's future achievements. The audience was speechless. The Demon King had never called a prince or princess by name during an official audience. So why acknowledge the ninth prince? Someone so overlooked he barely cast a shadow in palace affairs? It was an ordinary phrase, and yet, coming from the Demon King, it was unprecedented and therefore priceless. Shutra responded with steady resolve. "I will do everything I can to meet your expectations." Thus, he concluded his first royal audience, leaving an unforgettable impression on everyone present that night. Sometime later, Kak burst into the room and urged Shutra to get up. Groggy, Shutra asked why he was waking him so early. "It's a letter from the Office of Public Merits," Kak replied. Shutra opened it and blinked in surprise. Kak pressed him. "Well, spill the beans already." Shutra hesitated. "It looks like Father has assigned me a personal mission." He brought the letter to his siblings. They gathered around as one of them read it aloud. "A mission to subjugate the Cash's herd." Chris raised a brow. "That's a monster extermination task." Caitlin added, "That means you'll be heading to the Inger Plains." Shutra nodded. "That's where the centaurs live." "Yup," Caitlin confirmed. "Chris and I trained there once. The Cash subjugation has practically become an annual event by now." Chris said, "I'd go with you if I could, but we've got our own missions lined up." Caitlin reassured him, "You'll be fine. You can handle it on your own." Chris added with a thoughtful tone, "Still, people are going to start noticing you now. Some will try to get close. Others will be cautious. A lot of eyes are going to be watching." Shutra nodded. "I know. Even Zephyr said he was never called by name during an audience." Chris gave him a supportive look. "If you ever need help, just ask." Shut thanks him, and Chris tells him that before he leaves, he should see Felicia. She has something for him. Shut wonders what it is. As they head to the magic circle, she greets them with 2 fat little dragons to travel around the territory with. She tells him to take the mounts, and Shutra thanks her. She then hands him something else, a pendant called the Dark Elf's Tear. He says he can't believe she's giving him one of the Dark Elf's sacred treasures. Normally, the only way to obtain one would be to kill her. She responds that the Dark Elves are a proud race and never forget either kindness or vengeance. She gives him a hug, telling him to take care of himself and return safely. He says she startled him. He never thought she'd act like this. He tells her he understands, and she pushes him away, saying it's nothing. He says she must have realized how awkward it looked. He steps onto the circle, saying he'll get going now, and she should stay healthy until he sees her again. He waves goodbye, and she watches with a smile, saying, "Okay." They arrive at the Inger Plains. He feels a little nauseous from the trip again, but Kak asks if it was really over just like that. Shut says yeah, just like every other time they've used the gate. A woman greets them. Her name is Karma, a ranger assigned as their guide. Shut says it's nice to meet her. She has the upper body of a human and the lower half of a beast. She says it's an honor to meet him, and he guesses she must be from the satyr race. It's time to get moving. As they ride their mounts, she keeps pace on foot. She says it'll take at least 2 days to reach the center settlement and plans to travel with as few breaks as possible, asking if that's okay. Shut says it's no problem. She wonders why there are no other soldiers. He says the mission came suddenly, so it's just the 2 of them for now. She says they still have centaurs on their side, so they won't be outnumbered. He replies that it's going to turn into a group fight. In that case, the real problem will be the weapons. It might become a mounted battle. A spear would be best. Then, they hear a loud sound behind them. Shutra asks what it is. Karma tells them to hold on and says she'll go check it out. She speeds off, covering a huge distance in moments. She mutters that this can't be and wonders how the Cash's herd found them already. The cache are actually wolves, and they're chasing a centaur. One of them gets close, and the centaur screams, before Shutra charges in on his strange mount and rams the wolf, knocking it away. The centaur is surprised. Shutra says it looks like this is their welcome party. He equips his gauntlet and says it doesn't matter. He's been itching for a fight anyway, to see where he stands. Alone, Shutra sprints for his life, desperately fleeing a monstrous, shadowy wolf hot on his heels. The beast is suddenly struck by a powerful force, sending it crashing into the ground with a massive impact that kicks up a cloud of dust. A powerful, clawed foot slams into the dirt, marking the arrival of a new combatant. The rescued Shutra looks back in shock to see Prince Shutra mounted on a reptilian beast, now positioned between him and the danger. The prince calmly faces the approaching pack of shadow wolves, raising a hand as if to greet them. He coolly remarks that the welcoming party seems to have arrived early. The legendary gauntlet Earthshaker materializes on his arm, glowing with immense golden power. He dismisses the surprise attack as a trivial matter. A fierce, excited grin spreads across his face as he declares that he was just itching for a fight anyway. Ready to unleash his new power, he turns to the rescued satyr and taunts the approaching wolves. While the satyr asks if he is really the prince, one of the monstrous wolves, larger than the others, plants its feet firmly into the ground, asserting its dominance as the pack leader. The beast lets out a deafening, ferocious roar, signaling its clear and undeniable intent to attack the intruders. It lunges forward, a blur of dark fur and glowing red eyes, charging directly at Shutra and his powerful reptilian mount. Shutra sizes up his opponent with a confident grin, correctly identifying the charging beast as the pack's formidable leader. Karma shouts, asking if he's all right, while Karak warns him that dashing in alone like that is far too dangerous. Shutra waves off their concerns, telling them he's fine and that they should just stand back and watch him work. He expertly uses his mount as a springboard, launching himself high into the air to meet the beast head-on. Flying toward the creature, he decides this is the perfect opportunity to test out the powerful beast Godfist art. He meets the leaping wolf midair, his golden, glowing gauntlet poised and ready to deliver a devastating and decisive strike. The wolf lets out a final, terrifying roar, its massive jaws wide open, filled with rows of razor-sharp teeth. Shutra channels all of his power, his aura flaring to life around his fist. As he prepares to unleash his attack, he activates his Fist of Explosion technique, a brilliant, powerful burst of pure, concentrated golden energy. Both Karak and Karma watch, their faces a mixture of complete shock and utter disbelief at the incredible power they're witnessing. Shutra's attack connects with devastating force, and the alpha wolf's head is completely obliterated in a gory explosion. He lands gracefully, standing over the headless corpse of the alpha, his glowing gauntlet still smoking with residual energy. The remaining wolves in the pack freeze, their ferocious expressions turning to ones of stunned, palpable fear. Completely demoralized, they begin to whimper and back away from the boy who had just destroyed their powerful leader. Shutra looks down at his gauntlet, awestruck by its destructive power and wondering if it had amplified his aura. A wide, proud grin spreads across his face as he realizes the force he just unleashed was nearly on par with Caitlyn's. His companions are equally impressed, praising him for taking down a Cassius beast with a single, incredible strike. The rescued satyr steps forward and introduces himself as Swift Wind, a scout sent to escort them. Now free, he offers to guide the group on their journey. As they prepare to move on, the headless body of the alpha wolf begins to glow with a strange, ominous purple light. After a long journey, the group finally arrives at a ridge overlooking the vast and bustling centaur settlement in the Angle Plains. A diagram illustrates the 4 main centaur tribes that inhabit the region: Fierce Wind, Heavy Rain, Raging Flame, and Rough Night. Of the 4, the Raging Flame tribe is the most powerful, and its leader holds the title of High Chieftain. The formidable centaur warrior steps forward and introduces himself as Savage Eyes, the High Chieftain of all the centaur tribes. Shutra immediately recognizes the name. In the game, Savage Eyes was an unavoidable and pivotal character, one he had to face not as an ally, but as an enemy. The memory resurfaces, sharp and clear. An intimidated Karak whispers that the chieftain's glare feels deadly, but Shutra confidently steps forward and introduces himself as the ninth prince. The chieftain's eyes narrow slightly, his expression unreadable as he studies the small but surprisingly confident prince before him. Without hesitation, Shutra gets straight to the point. Locking eyes with the chieftain, he asks for his assessment of the current situation. They move inside the chieftain's main yurt to discuss the urgent and dangerous matter in private. Savage Eyes stands over a large map and bluntly admits that the situation is far from good. He points to a specific area, explaining that the case's herd has migrated south much earlier than usual this year, a troubling and unusual development. While some believe only a portion of the herd has gone astray, Shutra silently recalls the chieftain's untrustworthy nature from the game. The chieftain lays out his plan. In 3 days, warriors from all 4 tribes will gather to crush the beasts. Shutra, hoping things might unfold differently this time compared to the game's storyline, agrees to wait for the gathering. As the meeting nears its end, Savage Eyes suddenly calls out to the ninth prince, a curious look on his face. A sly grin spreads across the chieftain's features as he asks if the rumor is true. Did he really smash a beast's skull? A confident, shadowy smirk appears on Shutra's face as he simply confirms that the rumor is absolutely true. He offers to give the chieftain a demonstration of his power later, just as he had done to win over his siblings. The chieftain's expression remains stoic, but a flicker of genuine interest flashes in his sharp, discerning eyes. He accepts the offer, stating that he will look forward to witnessing the prince's legendary power with his own eyes. As Shutra walks through the village that evening, the local centaurs begin to whisper among themselves, their eyes following his every move. They recognize him as the ninth prince, the one whose incredible feat of strength is already becoming a local legend. Carrick remarks that the prince is gaining quite the reputation, just as he did after the battle with General Bandle's army. He jokingly claims that Shutra's rising popularity is thanks to his own natural charm, then immediately mutters that he probably shouldn't have said that. With a smile, he advises the prince to get some well-deserved rest before the big day and the upcoming battle. That night, Shutra lies in bed, sleeping soundly after a long and eventful day, completely unaware of the strange events about to unfold. As he sleeps, a mysterious soft green light begins to glow beside him on the bed, pulsing with a gentle, rhythmic energy. As the light intensifies, it wakes him. His eyes snap open, and he immediately turns toward the strange glow. He sits up in shock to see that the light is coming from his gauntlet. Instinctively, he calls out its name, Earthshaker. Still seated, he stares at the gauntlet in disbelief, wondering how and when it had appeared on his arm without him noticing. Then, a serene, ethereal voice calls out his full name. He looks up to see the spectral image of a beautiful elf-like woman. His eyes, now glowing softly with golden light, widen as he takes in the mysterious figure floating above him. She radiates a gentle green glow and calmly tells him that she requires his immediate assistance. Completely bewildered by the sudden, otherworldly visitation, Shutra can only manage to ask who she is. The spirit opens her gentle green eyes and, in a soft voice, introduces herself as the Green Wind. Shutra stares in stunned silence, the famous and legendary name echoing through his mind as he struggles to process the situation. He instantly recognizes it. Green Wind is one of the great nature spirits worshipped by both centaurs and satyrs. He recalls from the game's lore that the lush, beautiful Angle Plains owe their vitality entirely to her immense power. Suddenly, his consciousness is pulled into a vibrant green landscape. Disoriented, he finds himself floating alongside the spirit in a place unlike anything he's seen before. She explains that this peaceful, living expanse is her home, the very heart of the Angle Plains. She then reveals something even more extraordinary. This sacred place also houses a fragment of her creator, the Watcher Ankle. Shutra tries to process this new information, but a shocking realization crashes down on him. The name Ankle triggers a deep, jarring memory. With a jolt of fear, he remembers that Ankle is one of the 6 elder dragons, godlike beings so powerful that players in the game could never even encounter them. He looks down at his gauntlet, a relic granted by another ancient being, and feels a surge of unease. The timing of this new encounter feels far too coincidental. The Green Wind spirit interrupts his thoughts with urgency, warning him that monsters from the north are rapidly approaching her home. She explains that their goal is to steal the life force of the plains, an act that would destroy her sanctuary and consume her very essence. She tells him he is the only one capable of protecting this sacred place. Shutra protests, saying that his level is still too low. But the spirit reminds him that he already wields the power of Enkidu, and in that moment, a golden aura flares around him, confirming her words. She reassures him, promising that the fragment of ankle will grant him the strength he needs for the battle ahead. As his consciousness is returned to his body, she instructs him to first show a special token to her children. He wakes in his room. A glowing green symbol is now imprinted on the back of his hand, a sign of her blessing. In his palm, the energy condenses into a beautiful, glowing green crystal, a divine relic that will prove his vision was real. Moments later, Savage Eyes shouts across the camp, demanding to know what Shutra just said. The chieftain then repeats the prince's words, asking if the green wind is truly in danger. Shutra confirms. The temple will be attacked. The chieftain remains skeptical, but Shutra steps forward, insisting they must gather the troops and act immediately. His hand is extended, and a faint green glow begins to emanate from it. He holds up the glowing green crystal, offering the divine relic from the green wind as undeniable proof. Savage Eye's expression hardens into grim resolve. Now fully convinced, he looks Shutra in the eye and asks what he must do to help. Under the bright sun, the newly assembled centaur army begins its march across the lush green plains toward the sacred temple. The powerful hooves of the determined centaur warriors thunder across the fields, their ranks moving as one. Armed with spears and bows, they advance with unwavering purpose and unity. Shutra rides in the midst of the formation atop his reptilian mount, a small but determined figure leading this formidable force. He consults a magical minimap, and upon spotting the temple in the distance, confirms they're on the right path. As they draw nearer, the Temple of the Green Wind comes into view, glowing with a soft, ethereal green light. Shutra knows he never would have found the hidden temple without the guidance of the map. Just then, a scout cries out in alarm. In the distance, a massive dark horde is gathering, a terrifying sea of glowing eyes belonging to the Cassius herd. Shutra wonders how the beasts could have possibly discovered the hidden location of the Green Wind's sacred temple. There must be a traitor or something else at play, something he hasn't yet uncovered. Savage Eyes, noting the enemy's overwhelming numbers, turns to Shutra and asks if he has a plan. Shutra recalls the spirit's instructions. He must draw power from the fragment of ankle, hidden somewhere within the ancient temple. He gives the chieftain a direct order. He's heading to the temple, and the army must hold the enemy back. Turning to his loyal companions, Karak and Karma, he tells them it's time. They both confirm their readiness without hesitation. Savage Eyes raises his sword high, his voice booming across the battlefield as he commands his warriors not to let a single enemy beast reach the sacred temple. With a final war cry, the brave centaur warriors charge forward to meet the oncoming, seemingly endless horde. A line of archers stands ready, their bows drawn taut. With precision, they unleash a deadly volley, and a rain of arrows descends upon the charging Cassius herd, striking down the first wave. The centaur infantry roars, releasing a powerful battle cry as they slam into the remaining beasts in a brutal melee. One centaur warrior slices through two of the monstrous wolves with a single, masterful swing of his sharpened blade. Amidst the chaos, Shutra and his party race past the front lines, heading directly for the temple. Riding beside him, Rock confirms that their primary objective is to get the prince to the temple. Shutra nods in agreement. Iraq lets out a fierce yell, vowing to clear the path no matter the cost. With a mighty war cry, Karak swings his massive axe and charges into the fray, carving a path for his prince. His axe arcs in a wide, brutal sweep, cleaving through the shadow wolves that stand in their way. Karma joins the battle, moving with agility and precision. With her dual daggers, she skillfully fends off two shadow wolves at once, weaving between attacks with sharp and graceful strikes. Shutra, racing ahead of his companions, shouts words of encouragement, praising them for their bravery and excellent work. He presses forward as they hold the enemy at bay. The temple is now just a short distance away. Suddenly, a massive dark object hurtles through the air, catching him completely off guard. With a thunderous crash, It lands ahead of him, blocking his path. It's a towering, brutish minotaur, whose arrival shakes the ground beneath them. The impact sends Shutra flying from his mount, which is tragically crushed under the creature's immense bulk. Wielding a crude but deadly wooden club, the minotaur lets out a guttural, terrifying roar of triumph. It begins to stomp toward the fallen prince, its sheer size casting a looming shadow over him. Shutra groans in pain, gritting his teeth as he forces himself upright. Frustration flashes in his eyes as he curses himself for lowering his guard at such a critical moment. Before the minotaur can strike, Karak intercepts, his massive axe clashing against the beast's club in a dazzling explosion of golden sparks. He glances back at his prince, who calls out his name in relief. Grateful for the timely intervention, Karak grins and tells him to get up, reminding him that this is no time to be lying down on the job. The minotaur roars in fury and charges again, but Karak stands his ground, fully prepared to defend his prince. The beast swings its crude club wildly, but Karak expertly blocks the attack, the powerful impact sending wooden splinters flying through the air. He grunts with the effort of holding back the immensely strong creature, refusing to yield even an inch. Shutra teases his friend, saying that after acting so cool, he had better not be finished already. He activates a skill to assist him, causing a brilliant pillar of golden light to erupt around Karak, empowering his loyal knight. A surge of radiant energy flows through Karak, who lets out a mighty roar as golden light engulfs his body. Shutra's expression hardens with determination as he declares that from this moment forward, they're going on the offensive. Empowered by the prince's skill, Karak easily shoves the minotaur backward, golden shockwaves rippling through the air with the force of the blow. The minotaur stumbles, completely stunned and overwhelmed by the orc's sudden and dramatic increase in strength. Karak seizes the moment. He leaps into the air, raising his axe high, and brings it down in a devastating energy-infused overhead strike. Letting out a fierce battle cry, he pours all of his newfound strength and unshakable resolve into the blow. He holds his ground, locked in a brutal contest of strength with the monstrous beast. The minotaur coughs up blood, unable to withstand the relentless force of Karak's assault. With a final, thunderous roar, Karak raises his axe above his head once more and slams it down with enough force to shatter the ground beneath him, ending the threat once and for all. The crushing impact sends a massive cloud of dust into the air, marking the end of the difficult and hard-fought battle. Karak turns to Shutra and tells him to go on ahead. The prince, trusting his knight, nods and continues his sprint toward the ancient temple. He runs with all his might, his red cape billowing behind him as he races toward the glowing, ancient structure. Dashing up the grand stone staircase and through the temple's massive open doorway, he finally reaches his destination. Inside, a familiar voice urges him to hurry. He glances around, calling out to the green wind. Her voice responds, instructing him that his legendary gauntlet will now guide him to his goal. A stream of green light flows from the gauntlet, illuminating the path and leading him deeper into the temple's mysterious, ancient interior. The glowing light winds through the cracked and weathered corridors, showing him the way forward. The trail leads him into a sacred inner chamber, where thick, gnarled roots cover the stone floor. In the center of the room stands a colossal, ancient tree pulsating with divine green energy. Its massive branches glow with the same brilliant light, seeming to hum with life. Leaves swirl gently around him as he takes in the magnificent and awe-inspiring sight, completely captivated by the tree's ancient beauty. Then, the spectral form of the green wind appears before him once more, a single glowing hand outstretched toward the tree. Shutra looks on, his eyes wide with anticipation and wonder, ready to discover the temple's final hidden secret. Nestled within the heart of the tree is a glowing green object, which he instantly recognizes as a legendary dragon heart. He finally understands that the fragment of ankle the spirit mentioned was the very source of an elder dragon's power. The spirit explains that the plains have remained peaceful for so long thanks to the magic of the Great Watcher ankle. She tells him, this temple is the center of that magic, and if it is destroyed, the region's peace will shatter. She tasks him with awakening the ancient magic of ankle and stopping the horde, a truly monumental and daunting responsibility. Outside, Savage Eyes rallies his troops, ordering them not to retreat and to protect the temple at all costs. Karak fights with savage intensity, bringing his axe down on a minotaur with incredible and overwhelming brutal force. Karma, surrounded by shadow wolves, fights with skill and ferocity, her daggers flashing as she bravely holds the line. Outside, one of the newly awakened tree guardians looks on in shock. Sensing the overwhelming numbers of the enemy, she asks him to protect the Angle Plains and her children with the magic ankle left behind, offering him the dragon heart. Shutra reaches out and places his hand on the glowing artifact, ready to accept the immense power and responsibility. A massive surge of green energy erupts from the dragon heart, flowing directly into him with incredible, overwhelming force. As the immense power flows into him, his head snaps upward, completely unprepared for the vision that is about to unfold. His consciousness is pulled into a vast, starry expanse where he stands before the colossal and majestic elder dragon. Shutra stares up at the divine being, completely awestruck, and can only whisper its legendary and powerful name. The elder dragon's 3 ancient eyes glow with an unfathomable power as it gazes down at the small boy before it. A deep, resonant voice gives him a simple command: take it, as a massive wave of green energy surges toward him. Back in the temple, a brilliant ball of light erupts from the roof, a sign of the ancient power being unleashed. The light shoots into the sky, creating a massive pillar of green energy that can be seen from miles around. The centaur warriors and even the minotaurs stop and stare in awe at the incredible and unexpected display of power. Karak, in the midst of the battle, looks up in shock, wondering if this is somehow the prince's doing. On the battlefield, massive thorny vines erupt from the ground amidst the fighting, snaking their way toward the enemy horde. The warriors look up in awe as a green beam shoots from the temple and the vines swirl into a vortex. A colossal foot made of gnarled wood slams down onto the battlefield, announcing the arrival of a new powerful force. The magic fully materializes, revealing an army of massive, sentient tree creatures, the ancient guardians of the forest now awakened. A group of minotaurs and shadow wolves finds themselves completely surrounded by these newly awakened and formidable forest protectors. The guardians waste no time, immediately attacking the surprised beasts with the full force of their ancient natural power. A minotaur roars in agony as a tree guardian's powerful, branch-like arm slams into it with devastating, crushing force. The battlefield descends into chaos as the guardians mercilessly assault the invading horde, completely turning the tide of the battle. Inside the temple, the green wind announces with relief that the ancient and powerful magic of Ankle has finally been awakened. She turns to Shutra, her heart full of gratitude, and thanks him for saving her home, the Angle Plains. But as Shutra holds the dragon heart, the immense energy flowing from it doesn't stop, much to his surprise. Instead of merely awakening the temple's magic, the dragon heart continues pouring its overwhelming power directly into his body. The spirit watches in complete shock, utterly bewildered by this unexpected and highly unusual turn of events. She asks why the mana of Ankle is flowing into him instead of only empowering the temple's defenses. Her expression shifts to one of pure horror as she questions if he's actually trying to absorb the elder dragon's power. His body convulses under the strain of the overwhelming energy, his eyes turning white as the power threatens to tear him apart. The spirit shouts at him to stop immediately, warning that his mortal body will not withstand the strain. Despite the immense pain, a golden light begins to radiate from him as a notification appears. His level has increased. The wounds and strain on his body begin to heal instantly, the golden light sealing the cuts on his face. The green wind watches in stunned silence as his grievous injuries vanish in an instant, a truly miraculous sight. His power continues to surge, and 2 more notifications appear, announcing that his level has increased again and again. Within his consciousness, the goddess of Conquest appears. Her voice echoes with a single powerful command: conquer the power. She instructs him to subdue the dragon heart and make its immense and ancient force kneel before his will. He closes his fist, ready to dominate the ancient power and make it his own, no matter the cost. The goddess declares that even the remnant of an elder dragon shall kneel before him and his indomitable will. Back in the temple, the glowing green dragon heart is fully absorbed, embedding itself directly into his chest. The ancient tree at the center of the temple pulses with a final, brilliant burst of divine magical light. The light slowly settles, and a serene magical glow fills the chamber, embers of light floating gently through the air. Shutra stands hunched over, breathing heavily as he recovers from the intense and painful ordeal. A green aura now surrounds him. Slowly, he straightens up, his face still hidden in shadow. The incredible and dangerous transformation now finally complete. The goddess's voice echoes one last time, addressing him by his new title, You, the Knight of Conquest. A flurry of notifications confirms his incredible power-up, granting him a dragon body, dragon blood, and immunity to all poisons. He examines his updated status screen, now displaying his level as 17, along with the incredible new title, Dragonborn. The term Dragonborn refers to a being who has awakened their latent dragon genes, allowing them to wield powerful dragon magic. He recalls that his greatest enemy, Zephyr, was also a Dragonborn, having awakened the power through his own draconian inheritance. The spirit tells him he has now truly obtained the spirit and body of a dragon, as she can feel Ankle's power flowing within him. She admits she is not disappointed. This power had been sealed away for a millennium, unusable by anyone until now. She addresses him as the successor to the Watcher, Ankle, and tells him she has only one final wish. She asks if he will use his new power to protect the Angle Plains and her children, the centaurs and satyrs. A confident smile crosses Shutra's face as he accepts her sacred and important request without a moment of hesitation. Outside, the battle continues to rage. The awakened tree guardians tear through the enemy forces with ease, overwhelming them with their immense strength. The scene focuses on a massive, hulking beast, a Minotaur commander, who appears to be leading the entire enemy army. This commander stands apart from the rest, its presence radiating power as it single-handedly battles a tree guardian. The Minotaur commander lets out a deafening roar, rallying its troops and urging them to fight harder against the centaur army. Shutra steps out of the temple, his eyes immediately drawn to the commanding beast. He recognizes it as the enemy leader. With a powerful leap, he launches himself from the temple steps, heading straight for the commander to end the battle. He lands in the thick of the fight, calling out to Karak, who turns in surprise at the prince's sudden return. The Minotaur commander, a monstrous beast with dark fur and glowing red eyes, lets out a ferocious, challenging roar. It swings its massive axe, eyes glowing with rage as it focuses on the new threat before it. Shutra meets the commander's gaze, his own eyes narrowing with determination. Completely unafraid of the massive beast, he throws a powerful punch, his fist glowing with golden energy, striking the creature squarely in the chest. The commander, surprisingly agile, dodges the blow and sends Shutra flying with a powerful and unexpected backhand strike. The beast presses its advantage, leaping into the air and bringing its axe down in a devastating overhead attack. Shutra, undeterred by the beast's agility, challenges it to try and block his next powerful and decisive attack. He unleashes his fist of explosion technique, sending a wave of golden energy hurtling toward the commander. He braces for impact, expecting the attack to deal significant and possibly fatal damage to the beast. To his shock, the attack has little effect. He grits his teeth in frustration at the commander's incredibly thick hide. The Minotaur commander takes the hit and immediately retaliates, its glowing red eyes locked onto him as it swings its axe. Shutra barely manages to dodge the strike, realizing that even his most powerful move isn't enough to defeat this enemy. A confident smirk appears on his face as he decides it's time to show the beast something completely new. He activates his newly acquired skill, Dragon Blood, and a swirling, powerful purple aura erupts around him. A notification appears, announcing that his gauntlet, Earthquaker, is now releasing its true power, crackling with immense purple energy. Shutra focuses all of his newfound strength into the gauntlet, declaring that he will stake everything on this one decisive strike. The Minotaur commander roars and charges, swinging its axe as Shutra counters with a brilliant energy blast. As their powers collide, Shutra calls out to his loyal knight, telling him it's now his turn to act. He activates Summon the King's Knight, instantly teleporting Karak directly behind the surprised commander. Karak appears in a flash of light, bringing his axe down with devastating force on the back of the commander's head. The Minotaur roars in agony, stunned and wounded by the unexpected, perfectly timed blow from behind. Shutra, his gauntlet still crackling with power, warns the beast to prepare for what's coming next. His confidence now soaring. The commander's red eyes narrow, sensing the immense and dangerous power building directly in front of it. A fierce grin spreads across Shutra's face as he promises that this next attack will be nothing like the last. He unleashes Earthquaker's secret art, a technique combining all of his powers into one overwhelming and devastating strike. He launches forward, enveloped in a massive vortex of golden and purple energy, ready to end the battle.